It's time for Twig. This Week in Google, I'm Jason Howell filling in for Leo. We've got Aunt Pruitt, Jeff Jarvis, Stacey Higginbotham talking about all things Google and a few other things as well. We've got Google potentially buying Fitbit. Amazon Fresh is going free. Well, it's probably not free, but Amazon Prime members are going to get it included in their service. Google brings .new to everyone, which is kind of interesting. Facebook News tab is now about to appear in Facebook's app, and it includes some interesting selections of trusted news sources. We talk about that and a whole lot more up next on This Week in Google.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 532, recorded Wednesday, October 30th, 2019. Gravitas with purple hair. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by Zapier. Zapier connects all your business software and handles the work for you so you can focus on what matters most. Right now through the end of next month, go to zapier.com/twig for your free 14-day trial. And by Worldwide Technology. Worldwide Technology's Advanced Technology Center is like no other testing and research lab with more than $500 million of equipment, including OEMs like NetApp. And it's virtual, so you can access it 24/7. To learn more and get insights into all that it offers, go to wwt.com/twit. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google. Could also be named This Week in Things That We Wear on the Top of Our Head, because tomorrow is Halloween, or at least that's the reason that I'm telling myself.
It is? Oh, yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'm Jason Howell, filling in for Leo Laporte. To my left, Aunt Pruitt.
Yes, I am.
What is your name today? Because this hat combined with your normal look, like I feel like you have a different name.
I don't know. I maybe I could be Baron.
Baron.
Baron Pruitt. You like that, Mr. Karsten?
Baron von Pruitt.
Boom. We got it. That's it.
I like it.
Baron
Good to
von
see you,
Pruitt.
Ed.
Thank you, sir.
Baron. Sorry about that. See, I'm already. This is going to be really hard to do. To my right is Stacey Higginbotham, or as I like to call her, Stacey Wigginbotham.
Yes.
But she's wearing a wig. Fantastic wig. It's like
Thank you. It's a little messed up. My daughter wore it last, so I'm kind of like, it could be neater, but that's cool.
It's cool. It works.
It's working.
It's working. And then to my left is Jeff Jarvis wearing.
I had no great hats except this one.
That is a great hat.
That's
That's a great hat.
Except that it tickles.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
The hat that tickles.
Reminds me of going to commencement when I.
Yes.
Right. Which side do you put it on for the show?
I forget.
Yeah.
I just look at everybody else and do what they do.
You never know.
Or stash it up on the top.
Or actually, what I'm doing now is I'm imitating the president and his wife, giving myself a treat on Halloween.
On top of
What was
your
that
head.
video? I was so confused.
I didn't see that video.
Yeah, the kid.
There was a kid in a blown up thing, and they put the treats on the top of his costume, and they fell off. Poor kid.
What?
Instead of putting it in this freaking
In the bag.
In
the bag.
Everybody knows how Halloween works, right?
Right. Clearly, he and she do not.
No.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
They need some Halloween school.
Yeah.
Some Halloween education.
You know, a lot more than that.
That's not what you do with candy
No.
on Halloween.
No, it was really
I
awkward.
mean, unless your costume is that you are a Halloween
A
bag.
candy bowl.
Nope.
Yes.
Not even close.
That's an idea.
That is an idea, actually. I kind of like that
Yeah,
idea.
it's pretty good.
Could be the Halloween bag.
To wear a paper bag on your head the other way.
Right, the other way. Right. That would have made perfect sense, but no.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, everybody, if that works for them,
POTUS, folks. POTUS.
I got a dreaded email over the week. We were kind of talking about this last week. We were talking about storage, our email storage and everything. And I checked. So the way my inbox is organized, it's like important is up top, and that's the stuff I ever actually look at. And then down below is like everything else, and I rarely look down there. I'm happy I did, though, because I saw down there, your storage promotion will expire in 7 days. Oh, there's the email. So apparently I had 100 gigs of promotional storage that's going to go away on November 3rd, and like we were talking about last week,
You might want to go through that stuff, huh?
I'm good. Well, either that or I pay $1.99 a month and get back to where I am right now, which $1.99 a month. I don't feel like that's.
You know what? Here's the thinking. If you're never going to look at it anyway, Just scroll through the most recent 2 months and then mass delete.
Yeah.
Just do it. You're going to just feel so free.
That hurts. It hurts me to think.
Now, how does that hurt? Because
don't let it hurt you. Just let it go.
Well, he just said last week that he doesn't even really care.
Well,
right.
So
I know,
shouldn't hurt.
But it exists, and then suddenly it won't exist.
Jason, does it spark joy?
Every once in a while, I run across an old email that sparks joy because I go, "Oh yeah, I forgot that happened."
And that's what I was saying. I still
keep
keep things.
You're not going to be upset. It's just going to be gone.
It's just going to be gone.
See, the problem is as you get older,
yeah,
this is your memory.
Mm-hmm.
Your memory goes away. You're going to say, sometime what was that name? Oh, it started with this. Yeah. And then you'll search Google for your Gmail for that, and you'll find this little piece of lost memory.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's gone.
I'm okay with that. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
So $1.99, you say?
$1.99 a month.
Just do it.
That's what I pay.
It's $24 a year.
$1.99.
See, I can do math.
It's your brain.
I'm wearing my math hat
now that
today.
that's been confirmed.
Okay, apparently I've got some deciding to do because it is true. I mean, these are old emails that I probably will rarely, if ever, have any need for.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some really good emails in there, and I don't have the time to pull them out. Like baby announcement emails with the thread. And
are you ever going to have time? I mean, really?
No, I'm never going to make time for that.
There's things that I kept from years ago that are, something legal or what have you, that I just want to hold on to it just in case.
You just never know.
Something comes back because people are so litigious nowadays. Mm-hmm. So I'm keeping that email. I don't care if it is 8 years old. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I have it.
Do you archive those into a file of lawsuits? I have a lawsuit folder.
Well, it's something like that. Right. It's something like that.
Protect my ass folder.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, a CYA.
Yeah.
I'll download them.
Everyone should do this, I think. Have a folder for praise. So when your boss praises you, when someone sends you a nice email, because every now and then you're going to get crappy emails, and then you can look in and be like, oh, someone thought I explained that concept really well.
Right. That's true. Good stuff.
So that's like Al Franken's character. That's like Stu Smalley.
Yes, Stuart Smalley. Yes, I'm good enough.
Yes.
I'm smart enough. And
gosh darn it, people like me. Now, I know
we have breaking news, if you care.
Oh.
Ooh.
We do.
Go for it.
Just now.
Is Google buying Fitbit?
Well, no, not yet. No, @Jack announced that Twitter is going to not take political advertising starting in November.
Oh, that's...
Sort of. Okay, wait.
I think that's big news.
Well, I guess for the presidential election. I was like, political ads have been a full swing but there's local elections where I'm at in November. Yes.
Well, there's plenty of political advertising. Trump's spending $200,000 a month or maybe a week on Facebook. So in full disclosure, I had an exchange about that. I was at an event a week ago where Jack was, and I saw him, and I said that I thought it was a mistake to ban political advertising. And some executives there asked me why I said that, but obviously I was not convincing because they've decided to axe it. I get the rationale, but what I said to them was my concern was that it only potentially gives more power to big money television.
Mm-hmm.
And small candidates and movements that want to try to find, thanks to the inexpensive and targeted abilities of online, may not be able to find their people. So does this advantage the incumbents?
Mm.
So, but meanwhile, you've got a lot of people yelling at Facebook to take down the ads. A lot of people yelling they're making money from bad ads. So maybe what if Facebook gave all the money away to voter suppression movements,
right,
to cure?
Right.
If you took the money out of the factor, is it money or is it the political impact? Sorry, Stacey.
Well, you don't have to promote them or pay for them, but if you have a good digital social media type team, you can still have an impact online. It's not like you're saying you can't run anything. You just can't pay to do ads, which honestly
there are those who say go ahead.
I mean, if you have a candidate that really works, that really speaks to people in Black Lives Matter, that they will endorse and promote you across, I don't know, people talk about Black Twitter like it's a monolithic thing, but you could be promoted to people who care about that. in a way
about
that's
that.
more authentic.
Sorry.
Okay, go.
So 2 things about that. One is there are those who say, especially on Facebook, that if you're a page and you don't pay for promotion, no matter how much people love you, you don't get promoted, which is a different issue, but paying gives you control, right? Second, a lot of people argue that, well, targeting is the evil thing. It's targeting is bad. We have to get rid of all this targeting. Well, no, if you want to be efficient, if you want to find people who care about this issue,
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with
someone
targeting.
organize them, I think you want to target.
Right.
The problem is that not, as ever, the technologies aren't bad. They get misused by bad actors, but then they get taken away from good actors and good movements. So I'm curious, just by a vote, do you think Twitter and Facebook should refuse political advertising or not? I'm obviously on the not.
I'm with the
I think
not.
they should.
I tend to lean
Down to you,
more
Jason.
for they should.
Oh,
But you know,
Karsten, you're going to split the vote. You're going to be the tiebreaker
I
here.
say at this point, the bad guys are better at this than the good guys.
Yeah.
True.
There's more harm being done by lying and in ads than there is good being done by truth.
Is
in
there
ads.
evidence of that? Do we have that data, sir? I'm not sure.
No, we don't. I don't think we have the exact data of that, but it sure seems to me like the truth is losing. And
There's a show title for you.
Is losing. Deep sigh.
Yes.
Wah, wah, sad trombone.
Karsten, always the ray of sunshine.
sorry. It's been a week of fire and screaming.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I
By the
agree
way,
with-
how are you guys? Are there fires at distance, or are they nearby, or what's the latest with you guys?
They're at a distance. I mean, they're far enough away, and they actually had a really great night last night as far as
Getting containment.
getting some containment. It's
Still
now up
has
to
a ways to go.
Yeah, but it's up to 30%. And they're feeling pretty empowered around that.
Is it the Getty fire or the fire up by you?
Sorry, this is
This is Kincade.
this is the Kincade fire up by us, which is definitely the fire that I'm more clued in on.
Right.
The other ones.
Not the tick fire. I think that was the other one.
Yeah.
And then there's is the Getty fire done? Is that contained?
It's still
I
going.
don't believe so.
No? Okay.
No,
But
and fire, is that the same fire that's threatening the Reagan Museum?
God, that's the easy fire. God, there are so many.
Easy
this
fire.
This is
Yeah.
crazy. This is just,
Who
it's
names the
unbelievable.
fire? Is there somebody who names the fires? Is it like the storm
Oh,
people?
there was a story about that. It's usually based on like a geographic landmark or something
Right.
where they are. And sometimes though they're boring, like the 245th fire. If you don't have a distinguishing landmark, you name it based on the number of fires that have been reported. Yeah.
Right.
Who did that story? Was it the Times?
I didn't see it.
Oh, there you go.
The Times. Okay.
Karsten or someone.
But I mean,
I
man,
don't have
what
a
an
subscription
unfortunate
to the
name
Times,
for a
but
fire.
This
Easy.
is the story.
There you go. Yeah, never easy. Yeah, okay.
I was going to say I agree with Miss Stacey regarding the social media teams, because if you have a good squad, they understand the analytics and mode of operation to target who to get their message out. So it's not necessarily having to pay for ads. They just do the legwork and work the market inside of it without paying for a particular service, you know? And there's a lot of people that are doing that successfully that show up in my feeds, but it doesn't show up as sponsored in my feeds.
Right.
You know, so they know the system, they know the timing, you know.
Jack did say in this thread that it's not just candidate ads, but they realize that issue ads present, in his words, a way to kind of circumvent and get that message through there. So they're just stopping those as well.
Yeah,
so
but that's what, you know.
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, what if you want to start a campaign for climate change and now you can't?
Right.
Still can.
I don't think either is the solution. No, you can't now on Twitter. If that's an issue ad.
Okay. You're right.
So that's the issue. So it's an issue ad is gone. I think that's and what's an issue becomes the next problem.
Right, yes.
Well,
Right, right.
it's just the
That's
ad
Right? Is good
portion.
education an issue?
Well, so that's just the advertising portion of it. You're right, though. I see your point. It also feels kind of bad for Twitter because how the heck are they going to make money? I mean, they're still worried about
their stock's down.
Yeah, they're not doing
40%
awesome.
Last week. But meanwhile, you also had, related to this, you had the letter from, which is fascinating, from Facebook staff. Can I take the hat off now? This feels dumb.
If you would like to, go for it.
We're talking about serious issues.
He's I need my Gravitas.
Quitters never win.
Uncle.
I'm going to show. Hey, Jeff, I'm going to show you Gravitas with purple hair.
Yes, you can pull it off.
That is the show title.
Yeah, Gravitas with purple hair.
So Facebook employees, some unknown number, wrote a letter to Zuckerberg complaining about his hands-off policy on political ads. So you got two extremes here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that either is 100% right. I've argued that Facebook shouldn't be the arbiter of truth in every political ad. That's another slippery slope. But there is some limit, right? If a politician used a racial slur in an ad, surely they would take that down, I would hope.
Mm-hmm.
So where is the limit? Where is the line? And in each way, each platform is saying, we don't want to work at this. And I get that to an extent because I don't want it necessarily to be their job, but it is their job to set their standards of behavior. And that to me should be the line.
Well, but if your standard of behavior is something, the problem is standards of behaviors are kind of, it when we see it. So we have a very much on the chat, for example, we have standards of behavior.
Right.
And people run afoul of them every now and then because sometimes it's by accident and sometimes they're just arguing maybe how they feel. They're like, I was just a little too vehement. I shouldn't be kicked out for this. So the problem is they don't want to have a point of view because points of view alienate people and they don't want to alienate people. But unfortunately, if you're going to have standards or if you're going to try to become, they are a platform for information. In that case, you kind of have to have a point of view.
Mm-hmm. Point of view is a good way to put it.
That's a great way to put it. They're all being put in this uncomfortable position of having to take a stand on some sort of side of this, and you're just not going to please everybody as much as they would love to please everybody. That's just not going to happen.
Same problem that journalism is in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Journalists act the same way. That we're not human. We don't have opinions. We don't have any point of view, but we do.
And that's actually one of the big problems with the way we talk about politics and government today. So government rules, the way we structure our laws are designed to incentivize certain behaviors and things, but we don't actually talk about it that way. So I think we're in this weird place where we think everything can be fair and neutral to everyone, but that's stupid. That's not the way the world works. There's always going to be trade-offs and people who are advantaged or disadvantaged by something. And we don't actually talk about that. We just talk about this side gets this side gets that, in a way that's very polarizing. I just see this and I'm like, look, y'all, we have to talk about the give and take, and we don't actually, just Americans in general don't do that. So,
and talking about journalism a little bit, maybe I'm just so confused and overwhelmed by where we're at right now and the last however many years that have rewritten my memory on how this used to be. But how did they used to be? How did from the perspective of journalism, taking a stance versus not taking a stance, what's the historical point of view there, and how is now different?
The first word that comes to my mind when you ask how did it used to be, it was slower. Well, yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Well, and there was, Jeff will speak to this, I'm sure, but there was the history of yellow journalism where you who was it who created the first or second paper? Hearst. Thank you.
Hearst and Pulitzer. Pulitzer as well.
Pulitzer as well, but Hearst is most famous for it.
And Hearst is the one who was the Spanish Civil War, who was like, let's do that. And you used to get your papers based on the type of person you thought you were. And papers had a point of view. They still do. And even when you're objective, that doesn't mean you don't have a point of view. It just means that you're trying to understand the issue and report truly both sides, not actual both sides, because that's stupid. But like my example would be when I was at GigaOM reporting about like broadband issues, that can be super polarizing, but I took the consumer point of view. That being said, I did talk to all the carriers to understand their point of view, and I would report why they felt that way, and I would get their science and everything right. So that's to me what objectivity means, and what it's kind of not. We're moving away from that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That was.
So since you opened the door for me, this is kind of a perennial at a journalism school, obviously, with our objectivity. I'm of the school, heretical as usual, that objectivity is a false goal. It never really existed. It was us trying to separate ourselves from the public and say somehow we're not. It was a business decision to a great measure. We want to serve everybody, so everybody loves us, and it leads to dangerous things like false balance. And it leads to the myth that we serve everyone all alike when there are many communities in the United States who've never been served by mass media. But we say, oh, no, we're the objective ones. We decide what's important. We just say, because it fits into everything. It's our news judgment. It's our false balance. It's all of that. So I think transparency is needed. People need to know our worldviews and our experience so that they can judge us accordingly. We should operate with intellectual honesty and state that which is the uncomfortable truths. But it also goes to the point you were just making about the platforms and not wanting to have a position, to do anything, to take a stand, because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. One thing I actually appreciate about you, Jeff, I appreciate all of you, but one thing one thing that I appreciate about you is that you, even on this show, you put us on the spot on something that's uncomfortable, which on one hand, right, like taking a position on this and pulling us just a few minutes ago could be putting me in a position that I don't want to admit how I feel one way or the other, and that could be a bad thing. But instead, like, it kind of forces us to have the conversation, and that
you could always
ends up
play
being
flack
the point,
and say
right?
no comment.
That's true. But yeah,
Where's the fun in that?
I would say there's a lot of people in the comments or on the chat room talking about like factual reporting. It is great to have facts when you are speaking about something that is a contentious issue, which most things are, beyond like, the cop shop, right? Beyond this happened at this point in time, and this is.
All right.
But anytime you report on something where there are going to be, again, those trade-offs, you report the facts. This is the law. This is what it states. But people need more context because they don't necessarily have the experience of, 10 years writing about the government. So you need to say, and I think it is objective to say, people on this side of the issue feel like the law would do this for them. And people on the other side feel like this law would do this against them or would hurt them in this way. And I don't think you can't just report straight facts because it doesn't give people the context and the ability to make up their minds.
Is it safe to say that you can report in black and white with the facts, but that black and white needs a little bit of color to back it up?
Or shades of gray. I'm not sure.
Right. I mean, that's how I look at a lot of the reporting nowadays. And all of the good ones, they do exactly what you just said. They present the facts of the matter, and then they give you the context to help you understand the facts of the matter, sort of enhancing it all.
Right. And I would say, and that's where, Jeff, like your transparency comes in. I was never shy about saying, when push comes to shove, I'm pro-consumer, and I generally err on the side of being excited about technology. Those are like the two facts that are straight about my point of view. Sorry. This wig part's on the other side, so I keep pushing my hair out of my eyes the wrong way.
Habits.
Now, this also ties into something else that's in the rundown, the leaked video, the internal all-hands meeting at Google This time it's Google CEO Sundar Pichai talking about a number of things. But now, this happened, with Facebook a couple of weeks ago. Their all hands being leaked. Now we've got Google all hands meetings. This was from, I think, late last week, where they talked a little bit about the hiring of Miles Taylor, who's the former Department of Homeland Security official. Employees were really pushing back on his role in the border camps and defending them in his previous role. And then talking about internal community moderation, saying that at the scale that the company is at right now, it's really difficult to moderate at this scale. Asking for employees' trust, chastising employees, or at least in the words of the Washington Post article, chastising employees for leaking information to the press. Sort of like this video, by the way. So it's like the video of the leaking is now leaked. And acknowledging that they are, Pichai said, we are genuinely struggling with some issues, transparency at scale. So being transparent, again, taking some sort of a stance, some sort of a side, while at the same time trying to appeal to everyone. And that's just impossible. But yet in his role, he must feel the necessity around that's kind of a part of what he has to do.
Yeah, it comes with the territory, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we done that one.
Moving on.
And only 3 of us are wearing something on the top of our heads now. We'll see what story.
I look dumb enough as is. I don't know. Hey. I'm a Marshall McLuhan. I'm Marshall McLuhan today.
We'll see what story takes another hat off of us, or a wig. When it gets really serious, that's what happens. Let's see here. Something a little bit more fun. Any interest in Google buying Fitbit? This seemed to be getting people kind of a little riled up, like, that would be great for Google.
Seems like it makes
that not be that great for Fitbit? Who the heck knows?
Seems like it makes perfect sense, right? Just more and more data to mine.
Sure.
Well, so Kevin actually on our site wrote a story about this, because Kevin and I am a dedicated Fitbit user, have been since since it launched, I've always had a Fitbit. So I would be devastated if Google bought this and messed with it, because Google's wearOS platform is not good. And
there
Google
is that.
Fit is laughably bad. So if Google bought it and tried to integrate the Fitbit data into my Google Stream but didn't mess with the hardware or anything else, then sure. But as it stands now, I'm like, oh no, don't take this away from me. I love it. And I don't have an Apple phone, so I don't have an Apple Watch,
Could we look at it the way we look at the Waze acquisition and how Google Maps has definitely gotten better since then? And I like to assume that it's been some influence from that team of engineers that were formerly with Waze.
Guaranteed.
And they left and you can still download the Waze app.
Exactly.
So, yes,
Waze has not changed. Like, it hasn't strayed. They haven't decided, okay, we're getting rid of Waze.
Right.
Who the heck knows if they one day decide to do that?
Yeah.
And that's always my fear, is like, sure, say they say they're going to buy Fitbit and everything.
This just
they will say
Waze
in
is
the
gone.
beginning, we're going to let Fitbit operate as its own. It's a successful product, but it's the 2 to 3 years down the line where it's like, okay, now we're starting to see what we worried about.
Right.
So yeah, five years it took with the Nest acquisition.
Right.
So
2014
they acquired it, and then 2019 they went,
yeah.
All right.
we control it all now.
Nest is absolutely the appropriate comparison in this regard, because Nest was a pretty, popular brand,
doing just fine.
And now you've got what's going on right now. I mean, there are a number of signs that the recognition around Nest. They're just like, well, now that Google's in there, like, I just don't trust it, or whatever the case may be. It's just not the same brand.
I've never used a Fitbit because I just never really felt the need to buy a pedometer or anything like that. But how do I want to say this? I could see Google channeling the data from that and given it as part of my morning routine and, some analytics and stuff to work towards and things like that. Is that what Fitbit does already? Just sort of gives you some stats from yesterday to let you know that you were, you were 20% lax versus what you've done over the last couple of days, and you need to pick it up. And, is that how it works? Because I don't know.
They just launched Fitbit Premium, which is a subscription that presumably has some of that. I'll let you know in another month when I test it out. But what they do is they give you steps. They do give you like a sleep score. They give you heart rate information. And you can use it with other apps, like to track, if you want to lose weight, calories, that sort of thing. You can do it. Right. And it tracks your activities. So like, it's got like several items, like it knows if I'm biking or swimming or doing things, and it tracks that automatically. Mm-hmm. And it just like logs that as like, oh, exercise. Yay. But I think where it could really make a difference for someone like Google, and Scooter X is pointing out that Alphabet is the one trying to buy it, not Google.
Okay.
But
thank you, Scooter X.
With that information, you could do a lot with medical devices, like what Apple's doing with like AFib. Okay. You could, as we start tying our personal wellness into everything else around us and seeking assistant help for that, this would be a good deal for it. I know Kevin and I talked about like Amazon buying Fitbit. So it's not crazy that you would want this deeply personal data on people.
Your biggest fear would be Google buys this and then decides, hey, we're going to throw Android Wear or WearOS into there. Like, I don't see them doing that.
I also like Fitbit makes decent products.
Yeah.
So I don't want Google to get all fancy and googly with it, or, I just like, I know this is coming from a woman who carries a Pixel, but we had to get through some. And I actually like the Nexus, but Google has some weird hardware designs. I'm just going to throw it out there. They do some weird stuff.
No.
If they start doing that, I'm like, I don't know, Google. The Fitbit's good. Don't mess with it.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy it, don't mess with it.
Yeah, maybe they won't mess with it.
Yeah. That would be my guess, is that if Alphabet did buy Fitbit, that it would be one of those, yes, we've got Fitbit, but we're not going to change the thing that you love, because people love their Fitbits. Mm-hmm. I think it could be a huge negative for a lot of people if suddenly they said, and we're going to make it better. We've got ideas to bring Assistant and blah, 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 and bake in Android Wear and, back and forth. And I think they really damage the perception of the deal if they did that.
I think the best way they could handle it would be the Waze way, where they take it over and kind of have it be its own thing and slowly add functions of Fitbit into WearOS.
Yeah.
To make WearOS better, to make that an actual.
I think that's right, Carson.
Agreed.
An actual platform that can compete with Apple Watch.
That is true. I mean, that would be fine as long as they still have the Fitbit option, because I'm very skeptical on WearOS. And I think part of it is Google's strategy, because with WearOS you can buy something from Fossil, Misfit, Michael Kors, other brands that sell watches. I don't know all the options out there, and on one hand that's very googly, right? Like Android on all the phones, but on the other hand, it means that they have to keep things kind of basic, or they can't optimize things that like you can necessarily with dedicated hardware, like having a coprocessor or something like that. Not that Fitbit is using a coprocessor. So maybe if they turn Fitbit into a flagship brand that really rested on the Fitbit functionality, like I feel like the two things could become very different, if that makes sense. WearOS for generic smartwatches. And then if you wanted to turn Fitbit into a true competitor to Apple, maybe, but I don't know. I don't really trust Google.
What about the Android model, where Google admits that its WearOS sucks and they just hand that franchise over to Fitbit and say, you do the wearables?
That might be, Fitbit bought the IP from Pebble. Do you guys remember how excited we all were about Pebble?
Memories.
My son still has his Pebble watch. He wears it every day.
But all I can see from Pebble, and granted, I'm not like a super deep user or person inside Fitbit, but what they did is they took some of the Pebble interfaces and they put them on the Fitbit. But I don't see much else from that acquisition having made it over. So I don't know, basically. Oh, that's a device. Sorry, y'all. I'll stop talking.
Was that your Google Home learning how to bark?
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
I have
that's an actual
a
dog.
secret package.
Those new tune
next week.
Those new tune speakers on the Home Mini.
We were talking about this whole Fitbit thing, and then someone in chat just reminded me, Scooter X, thank you, that were any of you ever like users of the Moto 360?
I want it to be, but it didn't fit my wrist well. It didn't look right, but I want it to be.
Okay, I used the first one. It had the flat tire.
Mm-hmm.
Either of you, Moto 360?
Yeah, I did. Yep, I did too. Yep.
Because it was like one of the early Android.
Yeah, you forgave it a lot of stupidity and sins.
You did.
Because, hey, I'm early.
Flat tire was just one of them. Well, apparently there's going to be a new one in 2019. Although I think this time around it's the kind of thing where Motorola is just it's a branding deal. Someone else is making the watch and they're giving the Motorola name, the Motorola 360 or whatever. I mean, it looks nice.
It looks nice. I'd wear it.
No flat tire, so that's good.
I never really saw the flat tire. The bottom of the screen wasn't fully filled in with the display.
It was an upside down notch in a circle.
Basically.
That way.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, yes.
Yeah, it was like
that was probably a pricing thing, right?
It had to do with the sensor, I believe.
Well, no, the wire. They just didn't have the room for the wiring.
Oh,
Was it the wire?
That makes sense.
The watch would have had to have had a bezel, bigger bezels, the way Leo explained it at the time.
No bezels on your watch. So who knows if this will make a splash or not. I mean, it's wearOS, so probably not. Unfortunately, as much as I would love wearOS,
I'm seeing
competitive.
I still see people wear Apple Watches. I do see some.
A lot of Apple Watches.
You probably see Galaxy watches out there, right?
I don't see any Galaxy watches.
And this is just my ridiculous non-scientific view, but I don't think there's a growth pattern here in these things.
Probably
there actually is a slight growth pattern, but you're right. This is not like a smartphone. This is not everyone's going to have one. But there are really compelling use cases that are popping up that I think will drive further adoption. So like with Apple, when it did fall detection on their watch, I mean, I almost walked out and bought an iPhone so I could get that on my watch because I faint all the time. So I was like, oh, use case that works for me.
Wow,
But I didn't. So, and I do think you'll see a certain subset of the people who use it, and it's probably fitness freaks, they tend to use it a lot. And then very busy people tend to buy the smartwatches so they can get notifications and things like that.
Well, here's more breaking news.
Oh.
So making just your point, Stacey. Apple reported the revenue rose 1.8%.
On the watches?
To 64.5, behind a rise in sales of wearables and services such as apps, streaming music, and so on, which offset a 9.2% decline in iPhone sales during the period.
Yeah. It's the ongoing.
Well, and their
story,
wearables
right?
includes the AirPods, or yeah. That's
I imagine so. And they just announced a new AirPods
Another
Pro.
set for $250, right?
Something
they're
like
not
that.
cheap.
Not cheap at all.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I think I bought my Jabras for $160, which was, or $175 even.
Mm-hmm.
The Microsoft ones are going to be $250, I believe. Was it the Microsoft or the Googles?
Google's, I think, are $230. I think.
Yeah.
I'm actually waiting. I'm probably gonna buy those.
It's pretty competitive.
Yeah,
I look
they're
forward to
pricey.
trying them out.
These truly wireless earphones can be pretty pricey.
They just got to work and give me great audio quality.
Yeah,
you know, that's the thing. Justify that
I was
price.
on the subway the other day, and this woman's just standing there. I had a seat. I didn't give it to her because I'm a real old man. And Suddenly, she's doing some kind of weird dance. She's looking in the hood. She's going to her hood.
Oh, no.
She lost her thing.
She's going into the bag. And then everybody around her starts doing the same dance. And finally, they found her.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Close call.
that's always a moment of panic.
There goes
Yes, it
$125.
You're right.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Can you buy just one?
You can.
On
They're
Apple, you
$90.
can.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
about
can?
the other side.
Yeah, on Apple.
On Apple, you can.
Yeah.
On Apple, you can. You can't like I can. I've got my little jobbers right here, but yeah, I don't think you can buy just one of these.
Yeah,
I could be
definitely
wrong.
depends on the manufacturer. I'm not sure they're all in the habit of offering you a single pod.
I don't have the budget for
Well, and
that.
there's a right and a left, so you have to know what
Yeah.
you.
She lost, yeah. Well, my sister got hearing aids. She's my older sister. And of course, they're Bluetooth. And they do all kinds of neat stuff that the ear things don't do. Right? The phone
Yeah.
rings and she just starts talking. She can listen to the TV. It's pretty cool how integrated that is now, and it's invisible.
Yep.
You're going to start seeing more of that because
Probably.
I think it was last year or the year before, but in 2020, we're getting over the counter OTC hearing aids. The FDA approved this concept
wow.
of being able to. So there's companies like Bose are getting into this. I assume, we'll see Apple get in there eventually, but it is the ability to buy over-the-counter hearing aids without going to an audiologist.
Audiologist, yeah.
Yes, audiologist to get fitted in that sort of thing. They won't be as sophisticated, but for people like me who are losing their hearing because they were covering concerts when they were in college, that's probably sufficient for now. So you're going to see a lot of really cool stuff coming in with these, and it's going to be fun.
Neat.
My father, who's 93, deaf as a doornail, and he has the TV, turns it up all the way so he can hear
yes.
Fox News, right?
Yeah.
Well, the apartment upstairs, it's a continuing care place. They took out their carpeting.
Oh, no.
And the guy up there isn't quite as deaf, so he complains all the time, and it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So they finally came in. And I got my father a Bluetooth a speaker, an amplifier that he can put right next to him on the couch.
Oh, nice.
Right?
That works.
Right. So the sound's down on the main TV and it comes over there. Even that was getting too loud. So to broker peace, the authorities from the complex came in and they drilled a hole in the thing and put a screw in it so we could only turn it up so loud. So they could tell the other guy, we've stopped it. He can only turn it up so loud. There's no 11 on his thing.
Gotcha.
Oh.
If he had the hearing aids with the Bluetooth, but it's just too complicated to set up for him. I can't imagine him calling and saying they don't work. And I can't do it.
Yeah.
Bluetooth is never perfect.
Right.
Although, even just regular Bluetooth headphones, like I was using a pair last night, just connected to my TV because I didn't want to wake anybody up. Put on the headphones, it zaps it right over, and
Stacey, you were going to say?
You're
no,
living
I'm
like the
trying to
Jetsons.
yes.
What these New Heras, that's it. These New Hera earbuds, they actually they have algorithms that they filter out background noise. They're designed for people with hearing loss. They're not hearing aids, but they're designed to help them hear certain things better. And one of the things they do is work with your TV. So that might be an option. I feel like Kevin bought a pair of either New Heras or something else, but I can't remember the other brand that does this.
One of the guys at my father's dinner table downstairs in the home he has some kind of app. He puts his phone down, and then the phone adjusts for the sound around and gives him better sound in his hearing aids.
Oh, that's
Wow,
nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Never heard
so
of
it can
that.
concentrate on just the conversation at the table, and it cuts down the around, but it has a larger sense than you have just from your ear.
Wow.
And that's-
interesting.
That's the kind of stuff we can do with basically machine learning. And we're going to start seeing a lot of it. And I mean, as much as we don't like things like Echoes and Google Minis or whatever for privacy purposes, if you imagine that sort of give and take between your personal devices and things around you, that's a really compelling vision of the future for people, especially with an aging population.
And we've talked before on the show about loss of sight too. That if you can really have a map inside your home and you want to go someplace in the home or in a building or in an office, and you can be directed there with cues, because you can take sense of that, it's just amazing what's going to happen.
Yeah. Really cool. Awesome. Well,
by the way, a good use for facial recognition for a blind person.
Oh, well, yes.
Come on, admit it. Admit it. I got one. Come on, Stacey.
Okay, so the processing power to recognize individual faces on a smartphone type device isn't there yet. Now, if you had, but if you had like 6 people and it ran a model just to recognize 6 people, which totally is interesting, then, it could be like, oh, that's Stacey. So you would have the ability to like select 10 of your closest friends that you could recognize, for example.
And it could give you a subtle cue, like.
But you could also do that.
Right.
You could also do that with like some sort of app-to-app communication on your device. It doesn't actually have to be facial recognition. Because it's not like your camera.
Then you've got to have a standard.
Everybody.
Well, then you also are going to have complaints about privacy for the other person. I don't want to broadcast my presence to anybody, but that's complicated.
Yeah,
facial recognition would be the way to go. Sounds like.
Anyway. All right, we've solved other problems in the world.
Great.
Nice work, team.
We've created a lot of solutions for people. You're welcome. Let's take a break and thank the sponsor, and then we will get back to more with This Week in Google. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by Zapier. If you have a business, you already know that growing business is hard. You don't want to be wasting your time, your hours every day, just kind of moving data from emails to spreadsheets to your CRM to wherever you need it to go. Doing that all manually is kind of unnecessary when you have the right tools in place to do it for you. And that's exactly what Zapier is all about. Zapier has over 1,500 apps and is the easiest way to automate your work. You can focus on what matters most using Zapier, connecting all of your business software to do things like engage your leads instantly. You could automatically import new customers, notify your team about opportunities, all happening kind of automatically in an automated sort of way that you set up, that you define. Zapier is also more customizable. They support multi-step zaps, so the possibilities are virtually endless. You can build the solution that you need in minutes. No more wasting your time on tasks that you know could be automated, because that's exactly what Zapier was built to do. You just go to zapier.com/twig, connect the apps that you use most, really think about what are these apps that I'm using regularly, and what are these movements that I'm making, these manual movements between these apps. Once you figure those things out, it becomes really easy to define them within Zapier. You can let Zapier take it from there. And best of all, it's easy to build the exact solution that you need in minutes without writing code or asking a developer for help. You can join more than 4.5 million people who are saving an average of 40 hours per month by using Zapier. We're using it here to do all sorts of creative things. I've talked in the past about putting the doc, the doc into the teleprompter when we need to go to Showtime with Tech News Weekly. Micah set up this cool zap that basically eliminates the 10 steps that I had to do prior. It's really neat that it's easy because I spent a couple of years doing it a very long-handed sort of way. So it's nice to not have to do that anymore. Make more time to grow your business. Right now through the end of next month, you can try Zapier free by going to zapier.com/twig. And I'll spell that out for you. That's zapier.com/twig for your free 14-day trial. Zapier.com/twig. Check them out and see what you think and get to automating. And we thank Zapier for their support of This Week in Google. All right. Was there anything interesting from this earnings report? Earnings and interesting in the same sentence is maybe the wrong way to put it. But
well, it's everybody has a panic about it. It's just their profit is down.
Okay.
They're still making plenty of money, Alphabet.
Yeah, Google.
And they're investing. And investing is not a bad thing. Bezos did it for years and years and years, not turning a profit.
That's true.
I'm not worried about Google. I'm not going to go take it out a tin cup for them.
Yeah, Alphabet blames their increase in R&D spending for a decline in profits. Advertising, no surprise, represented 85% of total revenue for the company.
Which is down considerably. It used to be like 98%.
Okay. And then they're filling in with other revenues, $6.4 billion in other revenues, which does include things like the Pixel phone, a Play Store, cloud products. That accounts for around 15% of total revenue. So,
I got a beef with this. If it's so much money being spent on research and development, why in the heck are we getting brand new phones out the box that allows you to unlock it with your eyes closed? You're not spending enough money. Spend more.
Well, they're spending a lot of money on different problems.
Oh, no, I get it. I'm just being a smart aleck.
Fix that. Other bets you wouldn't be surprised to hear is, let's see here.
Losing more money.
Yes, losing more money. That's right. Operating losses rose from $727 million last year to $941 million this year. Revenue of $155 million. That's things like Waymo, Fiverr, Verily, that sort of stuff.
Verily, I mean, they're spending a lot right now for, contact lenses that detect your blood sugar. They're going through FDA approvals on stuff. There's Waymo. So that's, those are, I'm surprised it isn't losing more money. But yay, I guess it's almost $1 billion a quarter. Huh. Hold up.
Wait a minute.
Let me just process that for a minute. All right, we're good.
$1 billion a quarter. But it's Google, right? They've got unlimited money. It doesn't matter.
That's a couple steak dinners for them. That's all.
Well, their Q3 revenue was, $40 billion.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not,
When you're looking at the numbers on these companies, it's really,
and again,
it's almost hard to even really make sense of it.
Yeah, or feel sorry for them.
Or feel sorry. Absolutely that. Yeah.
Ever.
But again, even if they're putting all of their money in their R&D, it's about the long game. We talked about this with Amazon on This Week in Tech just recently, with the amount of money that Amazon is spending to work out with logistics and help reduce the carbon footprint and give an extra one day shipping for people out there on Prime. And it's a big investment, and it's probably going to pay off pretty daggone nicely for them in the long run. So why not Google? Put the money where they need to put it as far as research goes and play the long game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Indeed. You brought up Amazon, so I'll go ahead and throw this out real quick. Amazon is removing the $14.99 fee for Amazon Fresh.
Man.
And now we'll include it into the grab bag that is the Amazon Prime benefit. When you pay for a yearly membership to Amazon Prime, you get all these things. Now you get Amazon Fresh included. That's free delivery of groceries. Also 1 and 2 hour delivery options. And really just kind of tying up the, if you have a local Whole Foods, that inventory is being looped into the Amazon app.
Chantilly cake.
That thing right there. I know Mr. Sargent uses this service pretty regularly. I've never been inclined to do so, but I got to try it now since it's part of my just benefits. It's just sitting there. I got to, hey, can you send me a case of beer, please and thank you? Just,
Oh, no, it's wonderful. Like, we used to use these services like ahead of parties, so you don't have to, so you can deliver stuff to you right beforehand.
Okay.
So you don't have to send out your spouse for like even things like ice.
Right.
I don't know if Amazon Fresh does ice, but it's
that would be a little difficult. Yeah.
Well, you'd be surprised at which we would have Instacart go out and get it for us. It's truly a handy thing, and it's really handy for people who have disposable income, who can afford it, but now they're cutting that down. But it's really handy for people who are busy. Right. So like going to the grocery store after you pick up your kid from daycare sucks.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Preach.
So being able to
Indeed.
order everything and then have it arrive, while you're cooking dinner or whenever, that's awesome. Or better yet, if you've got, the garage delivery and a fridge in your garage, just have them shove everything in there, and then you're like, Life accomplished.
Now, whatever happened to Amazon's thing where you were going to give them a code to get in the house and put things away for you?
And Walmart is now
exist.
doing it too. Yes. Amazon
really?
Key.
Have at
Yeah.
it. Not
Walmart
tonight.
just actually, I think it was last week, announced that they've started their trial in like 3 cities, and they're weird cities like Kalamazoo and maybe Louisville. I don't know.
What
They're
was the
weird
company?
cities.
Oh, geez. What was the huge company, or huge in valuation, not in revenue, that had the special refrigerators in your garage?
Oh boy, I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
don't remember that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. No, it was the big one. It was the original one that was doing all this grocery delivery. Chat room, help. And part of the shtick was that they had a special unit in your garage. So you let them in the garage.
Okay.
You could put things there. They could stay fresh. I mean, the capital expenditure was ungodly. What was it? Oh,
God, I'm trying my Google foo, and I'm just coming back with Walmart.
It's not Viking.
no, it was
is
the
it?
original. I think if F Company were still alive, it would be a star
Webvan?
there.
Webvan?
Webvan.
Was it
I think
Webvan?
did.
We talked about
You-
that.
yeah,
No,
you
Webvan
mentioned
didn't
that.
give you a fridge. Webvan just brought, but it was like
Yeah.
Cosmo, wasn't it, or Peapod?
Cosmo.
Or did
I
they
forgot
really
about
give you a
Cosmo.
fridge?
Never heard of Cosmo.
Okay, you are not old. That's okay.
I'm oldish. Oldish.
Yeah, Webvan was dropping your groceries on your front porch.
Right. Yeah, they were. From my memory, they were just straight up grocery delivery. I don't remember a special fridge.
Then one of their competitors came in and they were going to beat Webvan, because Webvan, of course, was going to take over the world.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
they were going to beat
Webvan was a big
by
deal.
doing this.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There
I'm
was
sure I remember.
Peapod,
No, they weren't.
Home
doing it.
grocer?
Peapod was Safeway.
Safeway, yeah. Okay, Home Grocer.
Home grocer.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Okay.
But okay, well, I like your potentially imaginary fridge, though. I'm loving this idea.
I think he made it up.
Now, if they could put a one of these fancy fridges in our garage that the groceries can like zap over to through some sort of magic, then
Teleportation?
teleport
Or
the
quantum
food.
computing. Your groceries are in the fridge.
A grocery
Or
printer.
Grocery
Now,
printer.
I want to be clear here that I am not old enough to remember this, but I'm told that the old icebox had a door to the outside so that they could come and deliver the ice to your icebox without coming into your home.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. My grandfather.
Carson's old enough.
delivered
I heard
this.
that myself, actually.
Yeah.
So just cutting off any old man jokes there. Cut it off at the pass.
He's heading it off at the pass.
Cut it off at the pass.
Make sure you get that in there. I forgot
So
about
what
Cosmo.
were we talking? Yeah, how did we get there?
I think it was
Cosmo.
Amazon Fresh.
Yeah, Amazon.
Oh, that's
Fresh.
Yeah.
See, you're getting so old you can't remember what we were talking about 2 minutes ago. You make fun of me.
No.
I never really. It's. I guess it was part of the whole $15 extra that discouraged me from using it because we had
Fresh.
because we had it offered in Charlotte year or so ago, and it surprised me because I was online looking for something else that I needed to order, and it just gave me this little banner. It's like, hey, you can order lunch right now, and I'm like, oh, I can.
I didn't know that, but
and it'll be here in an hour. And it was, I thought it was really cool. Well, actually, I thought it was, spyware or something. But then when I looked it up, it was legit that, it made the news there in Charlotte that, hey, Amazon is rolling this service out for people to shop at Whole Foods or what have you. But it's going to cost you an extra fee in addition to whatever your already expensive Whole Food prices are.
Yeah.
So I never really considered doing it,
You should do it if only to order the chantilly cake from Whole Foods. I love that stuff.
Say no more.
It is delicious. And if you like cake, if you don't like cake, this is not going to be your bag. And
Well, pie is greater than cake, but I still eat cake.
Here we go.
I went
pie
there.
versus cake. It really depends from the cake, but okay.
I went there.
All right, Ann.
Was it a berry chantilly cake? Is that what I'm looking up?
Berry. I think you could get berries on it, but there's just a plain chantilly cake. But berries would be a delicious add-on.
Okay. Well, I did my search and I came up with
that's
it. Sorry.
That looks okay.
That
that's
looks
not
good to
what
me.
it is, but
Okay.
that
That's
also
not.
looks good. I'd eat that.
That looks
Creamy
good to me.
almond and mascarpone chantilly
Yes,
frosting.
that is the cake. Okay, then that is
Yeah,
the
that's
cake.
what it says.
They
Yeah.
just put berries on it, so it's fancy.
Looks good
Okay.
to me.
They could charge you $10 more for it.
That's right. They do. They charge you a little bit more, although it's a little bit larger of a cake when you put berries on it, according to this bad web page. So,
well, they're Whole Foods. They're not about web pages.
Well, no, they're Amazon. They are about web pages.
They are. They're on e-commerce.
Touche, sir. Touche.
They are now, anyways. This service, I didn't realize, or I forgot, used to cost $299 a year.
Yep.
Oh, and remember the Amazon Dash? Because it came out around the time the Amazon Dash thing that you stuck on your refrigerator.
Oh, yeah, the little buttons.
Yeah, I still have one somewhere. Oh, no, maybe I dumped it in the movie.
Do they do that? They canceled that, right?
Yeah, rest in peace.
That doesn't exist.
Yep.
Because now you have your assistant to do it for you anyways. Why would you need a button?
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it did have the cool scanner. You could scan your groceries with it. You could be like, boop. And it made the satisfying boop noise, which that's worth it.
Let's see here. What else do we have here? Yeah.
Can we talk about the BERT algorithm, because that's important for Google and beyond?
I want you to explain it to me. Yes,
that is important.
Explain this. Okay, so they basically have an algorithm, and I'm trying to remember what BERT stands for. I'm going to scroll down. Oh, there it is. Okay. BERT is their bidirectional encoder representations from transformers algorithm.
Okay.
But basically, don't worry about what that means. It's part of natural language processing, and it's a way to improve the algorithm that figures out what people are saying, right? And so they've made it better, and they've now allowed it to – now it's running, did they say 10% of searches?
Yes. Well, improving it by 10%.
One or the other. I couldn't figure. It was I saw two different expressions of that.
Developed by
I saw that it would affect 1 in 10 queries.
Yes, it would affect 1 in 10 searches. Yes, and it makes it better. It makes it understand things and put more context around your inquiries, which the way that it's described in like machine learning world is this is like an ImageNet type of function for natural language processing. And what ImageNet was the test for computer vision that the GPUs really came along, and they like blew it out of the water in about, I think it was 2012 that we started seeing huge improvements there. And they got slightly more gradual, but there was like a sea change. So they're describing what they've done here with BERT is kind of that level of sea change for natural language processing, which is great for all of us because that means it's going to be easier and better for computers to understand them when we talk to them. Yay! Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Good.
They posted an example saying a search query of someone typing in parking on a hill with no curb. Before, the results were simply about parking on a hill because it was just bag of words, like you said. Afterwards, the results are actually specific to parking on a hill with no curb, like the words imply. So just understanding the words from a more contextual perspective than just...
I don't get that example because I think that's the kind of search that Google's always or for years has done well. If you put in enough words, it gets narrower.
But most people don't understand putting in a proper string. It's just vomiting gibberish into that search box.
That's the beauty. It just gets better and better at your word vomit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, remember, like, I still remember.
Let's not make that the title of the show, please.
Doing, like, when Google launched way back in, like,
Word Wretch,
2002, you'd be like, I'd search New York plus Bond issue plus, and then I'd do, like, someone's name in quotes.
Right.
And I don't remember when I had to stop using, are those Bayesian? I don't know what kind of, what's the word for that? Bayesian search terms. I don't remember when I had to stop using them. Boolean. That's it. Bayesian is something different math. But yeah,
I'm sure Carson could explain that.
Oh, go ahead.
I cannot.
Okay,
this time.
It is Boolean.
Yes, Boolean.
It is Boolean. Yes. Bayesian's a probability thing.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, that's
Bayesian
what
is probability. Boolean is plus and minus and stuff.
Yes,
but I can't explain it.
You did it. You did it.
There you go.
This episode of Stump the Karsten is still gone undefeated. It's okay.
Dang it. We still need to stump him.
Undefeated.
I remember when search that was a regular part of my search arsenal, was having to do the parentheses or the quotes.
And you were
but
like,
only some people, right? Only so many people understood that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that, and even Pandu Nayak, who's the VP of Search, said this is the single biggest, most positive change we've had in the last 5 years, and perhaps one of the biggest since the beginning of Google Search. So,
Pandu
it's going
is brilliant.
Make a very significant impact to the quality of search results.
Well, in the people who talked about it being like the ImageNet example, they weren't even Google workers. So this was like, whoa. It's not just Google marketing. It's actually a legit breakthrough.
Nice. Good work. What about this? What about this cross-carrier messaging initiative? Did y'all read about this one?
Is Google finally going to get messaging?
This is carrier supporting
Google, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's all for U.S. carriers. AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint have banded together to create their own joint initiative, CCMI.
I hate them all.
I think Google really hoped when it put out, go away, Google. When it put out its own RCS flavor last year, I believe, I think they had hoped that the carriers would get onto their standard.
Right.
Instead, the carriers said, no, we want control. So we will create our own standard, and you have to play ball with us. I don't know what playing ball with them actually means, but they, it is known that support for this is going to be baked into things like Android messages and Samsung's, messaging app. But the carriers are going to launch their own messaging app that's going to be brought to their carrier phones, Android phones, starting next year.
Do you consider that bloatware, sir?
What? I don't know. Kind of.
Fine line, right?
I mean, it is a fine line. I mean, if it's literally the only app on the phone that supports this, maybe it's not.
And it's required.
It's required, but it's not going to be. It sounds like
someone has to do this. Google has proven that they are bad at this.
Totally. Totally.
If Verizon and AT&T and Sprint and T-Mobile can come up with a good messaging system comparable to iMessage, go for it.
Go for it. Yeah. Comparable, not identical. There is no end-to-end encryption. There won't be end-to-end encryption on this the way there is in iMessage. Apple has been pretty absent through all of this, but this week on Security Now, Steve Gibson, made the point that Apple would have to play ball because if this is truly an SMS replacement, Apple's not going to keep their phones from supporting whatever replaces.
But then
SMS.
don't you get the green or the blue bubbles? Which is it? If
maybe
you're
Apple. Yeah, maybe that'll still exist. But at least for all the Android users out there, if this truly replaces SMS, then we'll be happy that we get most of the features that Apple users have enjoyed with iMessage.
Yeah, yay.
However, we get there. And apparently, we're getting there through the carriers and not Google.
In addition to these folks banding together and say, we want our own standard and this is it. You need to jump on board. Have you found it curious that Verizon is now essentially giving away Pixel 4s a week later?
I've missed that they're giving them away.
You buy one and you get one free.
Oh.
Already?
They've done that promotion before.
They have, but do they do that early with iPhones as well?
Right.
This way they go through
exactly.
Yeah.
My point exactly. $1,000 phone for $1,000 phone, and yet they're doing BOGO for one of them and not the other. Mm-hmm. A lot of faith in those, sounds like.
Yeah.
Yes, I said BOGO, Eric Duckman.
I know. I was like, oh, he just said BOGO. I just got a Payless Shoes flashback right there.
I don't know. Maybe there isn't a whole lot of faith in.
Yeah, it don't sound like it.
Even though is this the first year that the Pixel phones are like in all carrier stores?
Right. But normally they get those sales. I used to tell people, give it about 3 months, and then they drop it down about almost $400 or $500, like without a problem.
Right.
But man, it's been 2 weeks. If that,
not even.
Right. So
it's been a week. Not even a week. It officially released a week ago tomorrow.
So now
You gotten yours? Are we going to see yours later?
Oh, I have
he's
mine.
got his.
Yeah, I have mine actually.
In all its
We got it
glory.
last week, so we were all
Got his in all its
salivating at the
glory.
prospect of seeing it.
I have
hasn't come in.
the Pixel 4 right here. This is the 4 XL.
It's not as cool as the orange one, but still cool.
Yeah, I know. Why didn't you get orange?
I didn't really care for the color of the orange. And
Is it their coral or is
We're
it a good
saving
orange?
that for Ant. Ant
Yeah,
is the only
yeah,
one
you're
that
going to get
gets
yours.
it.
I actually got your delivery notification today that it's shipped. So
Sweet.
sometime next week you'll get it.
Oh, I won't be here, rats.
Oh, all next week?
Yeah,
No.
I'm at
That's right.
Adobe Max.
That's right. Okay, well, I'll use your phone for you.
I bet you will.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. I mean, I'm liking it. I'm not experiencing a huge battery hit. This is the XL size, so it's the larger one. It has the larger battery. And I feel like battery for me has been fine.
Nice.
You know, I'm getting through the day. I'm not finding myself having to charge at some random point.
Nice.
I'm also not ending the day with a large surplus like I'm used to with some phones.
Okay.
Where like I hit the charger and there's still like 45% battery. And I'm like, all right, I'm never blasting through this. This one's more closer to like 20, 15%. So it's pushing it down.
So your 3A is better?
Says the owner of a 3A.
I like the
I was
design.
biting my tongue on that one.
I like the design on the back. It's a pretty phone.
Yeah, it is.
Like I like the white on black, and I like the cubiness and
Yeah, it's got the the color splash on the power button, which does have the orange color.
and that is the orange. Is that the same orange that's on the Pixel?
I believe so.
That's what it
yeah,
looks like,
Yeah, I
anyway.
think it's the same.
Oh
color.
yeah, that's not an awesome orange. It's a little too faded for me.
It is a little bit faded. I mean, I probably
A
would have
little
been okay with it.
presidential, I'd say.
I like to think of it as Halloween because Halloween is tomorrow. So, although it's not really a total Halloween orange, but no, the design is really nice. It feels really nice. This whole glass back is kind of a frosted. It's really hard to show on the camera, especially with a white phone. But it just has a really nice feel. And what they did back here with this frosting means that you really don't see any fingerprints whatsoever. So
The aluminum
at least they got
edges.
that right.
The edges is what feels great to me. It's a little more grippy around
Yeah,
the edge.
Ooh.
Definitely.
So you could use it without a case without feeling like it's going to slide right out of your hand.
I was just going to say, like, it definitely feels a little more grippy, but it's still glass.
It's
And
still a phone.
Every day that I'm waiting for the case, I thought the case was going to get here before the phone. It's still not here. Every day I'm worried that I'm going to drop this thing and it's going to die.
Yeah.
And you have a history, right?
I have a history. Yes.
You can borrow the one that's on my desk.
Oh, that's right. You got one from Pepcom.
Pepcom.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Borrow that
Maybe
one.
I'll use that
Keep it safe.
as my interim. But I will say, camera-wise, on Twitter a few days ago, I was downtown Petaluma, and I was like, I'm going to try out the zoom on this because this has a 2x telephoto.
Versus 5 that most people were
I think a
supposedly wanting.
lot more phones are doing the 5. But they do is this super res. Google does the super res AI assisted zoom functionality, and so I took a picture of this building really far away at 1x, 2x, 4x, and then 8x. 8x is like super zoomed in. I'm telling you, considering that it's software, it looks really good.
Really? Even at 8X, huh?
Even at 8x. I mean, you can tell
The
that
demo
it's-
looked good, but I wanted to see real world experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed, and I was like, okay, and this looks good on the phone display. I want to take it home and kind of look at it closer, and we'll see if maybe I can get that link for you, Carson. It's on my Twitter feed. But I was pretty impressed by what they're doing. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to paste this in to
Where are you putting it?
Field 50 underneath the carrier stuff.
Okay.
There you go. E50. It's right down there. But yeah, so camera wise, it's still really doing great things. That's the far off shot. So if you click on that and then just skip through,
That does look good.
so that's 2x, and then the next one I think is 4x. So this is digital. This is 2x, and this is 8x.
Wow.
And
That does look good.
I mean, there's some good detail in there considering this building was far away from me, and most of that is digital. It's AI compensation, and so they're doing really crazy things with the camera. But
Need to get you
that
to fix.
Petaluma's slogan, "Shop Daily"?
What's that? Oh,
Is that Petaluma's slogan, "Shop Daily"?
It really
Petaluma
is.
Mill.
It really is.
shop daily. No, really.
Seriously? I thought it was something about chickens.
Come back
Gotta
every
be-
single day and shop every day. What were you going to criticize my picture taking because it's not?
Yeah, we got to get you to straighten out that horizon line, man.
All
And
right.
that wide shot, man. That
I was leaning over an edge.
I don't want
in
to
order
hear
to
it.
get the
You
shot.
can rotate it in post. Dadgummit.
That takes too much time. I don't have that kind of time.
I was like, oh no.
Wait, I think Ant's volunteering to take all of the pictures from now on to show in the show. Is that what you're hearing here?
Oh.
I didn't volunteer anything. Are you you giving me another voluntold again?
I'm just saying, if you're going to critique his snap photos as examples, you may end up finding yourself taking them.
No, it was a little bit of an OCD moment for me. I'm sorry, Mr. Howell.
Look, photos are your thing. You have a couple of shows on the Twit Network all about this
It's
stuff.
it's like how the desk is still not right. It should be parallel with the lower third, and it's not. And so, it's the
agree.
same thing. You've got a horizon problem here in general with this show.
There it is.
We've lost it.
Perfect.
A little more.
No.
Right there.
Oh my gosh.
Right there. Right there is good.
But now the
Nice work,
actual
Mr. Bondi.
horizon is wrong.
Now you move it down. You move the camera up.
No, it's all lens distortion, I'm sure.
It could also be because my screen is higher than Jeff's. Like if we took
That's not
Jeff's,
fair.
mine's taller. No.
No, it ain't that.
It's just
I think it's
angled.
lens distortion.
It's just angled. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not shooting straight.
It's not
at
shooting
the
straight.
table.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
usually
It's over
not.
there.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So in
everyone
today's show, we're
lean
not
to your
straight
right.
shooters? Oh.
There we go. This is normal, right? Something. Yeah, I don't
Go
know.
to lean.
All right. Let's see here. What else?
I totally dig that. That's 8X with that quality.
Yeah,
That's
pretty good.
That is strong.
You know, that's not something you're going to frame and put up on your wall. But considering how bad digital zoom usually is,
Yeah, it gets
that's
all
really
soft.
impressive to me. Everything
And
gets
especially
soft.
with that crooked horizon line. I mean, I would never put that on the wall.
You don't really get the crooked horizon line on this shot, do you?
Right, which is why I looked at it, immediately after
You're like,
the
this
first
is
one.
the good one. Meanwhile, that was the one with the most digital zoom on it. So
Yeah, Ant's looking at that picture like this.
Right.
that's when I know I'm
So
taking
true.
a bad picture. I look over and he's
So true.
all right. I'll work on my efforts.
Please and thank you.
I'll work on my abilities. Apparently, .new was a neat thing that Google rolled out that totally I missed my
This is
radar.
very nice.
That's pretty
This is
cool.
open.
Yeah, so I guess a while back they did this. They rolled out this .new approach,
Which I use all the time.
Do you?
.new.
I never even knew about it until this.
Constantly.
Yeah, until this
I
week.
keep doing new.doc and I get very upset.
No, you're backwards.
Wrong.
my brain doesn't work. I'm like,
Wrong.
dot new spreadsheet sheet
The
dot
new goes
Ah!
at the end. So entering into a new browser or search doc.new would create a new Google Doc, for example. And because you're always logged into your Google account, or you probably are, that would take you right to your Google Docs account, open up a new doc, and you can jump right in. It saves you time. Well, now Google is allowing others to play the .new game with their own web apps. So Microsoft, for example, has Word.new, although that's not working yet. But Spotify has one. Playlist.new will take you right to Spotify and create a playlist.
That's slick.
If you
I want pizza.new.
who would that belong
Domino's.
to?
Domino's
Probably
is
Domino's,
close.
yeah.
Domino should buy pizza.new.
Well, I mean, does
Or
it exist?
pizza.now.
Pizza dot.
Oh,
No.
dot now.
Dot now.
Let's see what
Nope,
pizza
not
dot
reached
now
yet.
gets us.
Jason just tried.
I tried. I'm curious.
I tried too. I was like, let's do it. How awesome would that be?
Guaranteed that's going to happen.
yeah.
If you aren't already signed into a service, it could be a little less seamless.
Right. And that makes sense, right?
Yeah, totally. So
I did. I just created a new playlist.
there you go.
I'm
Now-
so excited.
Now, were you signed into Spotify or were you not?
I am always signed into Spotify.
Oh, you are. Okay. Because I don't think that I am, and so
Should you do it on your phone or on your laptop?
playlist.
Oh, I went on my laptop.
So when I do,
You're signed into Spotify on your laptop.
Worked for me.
Yeah, so what's interesting about this is I'm not signed into Spotify, but it still takes me to the create a new playlist thing. So if I start and create, so it doesn't, oh, I see. And then at that point, it's like, all right, you need to log in.
Yep, that's what it did for me too.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Here, like, I can try it on my phone. Would it work?
I think it would be the same on a phone, maybe? Or is this just for desktop?
No, it's playlist. I did it again. I was like, new dot playlist.
Reprogram. Yeah,
what's happening?
I mean, I would assume it would work on the phone.
Hang tight. Spinning. It does not. It just took me to Spotify.
Just took you to your app to the browser?
Yeah. And the last song I listened to was Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, as part of my workout.
Did you do it from the box at the bottom or from Chrome browser?
I thought I did. Oh, I did it from the box at the bottom. Good call.
Yeah, try it from the browser.
Oh, good call.
Yeah, I get stuck on that all the time. I'm like,
I do too.
Open in Chrome.
What kills me is when I use the box at the bottom, I can't ever go back to those results.
Yes. Oh, it's asking me if I want to add Spotify to my home screen. I'm going to say no. No, it just goes up to the recently played stuff.
So this must be desktop.
So it just goes back.
Phone?
Yeah, this must be desktop only.
Yeah. So it's,
still a progression, though.
Yeah.
By the way, Jeff, so when you use the box in the bottom and you do a search, so I'll do a search for Twit.
God, you're going to teach me how to do this now. Yeah, okay.
Oh, my God, I'm here. I'm here for this.
Okay, it's really not that.
It's not hard.
Amazing.
Thanks a lot, guys.
So, I get to my results. So twit.tv. I don't know if you can see it in the overhead shot. What you get is this like limited time Chrome. So just open in Chrome.
Oh, that's what I do.
Yeah,
already.
I know, but I don't think that means
something cool.
That would presume I'm thinking ahead, Jason.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've gone on to something else. I said, oh, yeah, I searched for that a few minutes ago, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hit the little multitask option, and it still sits there. Your query result. Sometimes.
But sometimes it doesn't. Yes.
Yeah.
That's so frustrating when it doesn't.
Are you listening, Google?
We're giving you lots of really great ideas today. Build a refrigerator for our garage to deliver
No.
groceries.
We're talking about our great ideas. Come on.
Okay.
Jason, I thought you were going to give me another life-changing moment, like with the copy-paste software.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed.
Thank you guys
sorry.
so much.
I just gave you what I do. But apparently you do that too.
But I already do that. I thought there was going to be something better.
I wish there was something better than that now. I don't have anything better than that.
eBay, but yeah, that service is rolled out to more people. Like chat room is mentioning eBay and Open Tables as well.
Oh, okay.
Sell.new, reservation.new,
and
repo.
If you're a trademark owner, you can register for your own .new by January 14th of next year. Otherwise, anyone can apply starting December 2nd, 2019. So whoever's first to pizza.new,
Rocket, please.
Yeah, you're gonna make some money.
That's awesome.
Music.new is one that I tried, and it's like a single label, Ovo Sound.
Founded by Drake?
Grabbed it. Yes. Grabbed that one.
Yep. They're waiting for a nice payday.
They won that game apparently.
Yeah, they're waiting for a nice payday.
Yeah. What else?
Oh man, it's a shame that WebEx got this instead of something like Zoom, something usable like Zoom.
God,
Medium got story.new. Interesting.
Oh,
okay.
Yep.
WordPress should have jumped on that. I guess they could do blog.new.
Yeah, that would make more sense to me than Medium would.
So then,
how does Google mediate between it's what?
Right, and if there's multiples,
who would answer this? Andrew would.
It really seems like one anointed winner.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so
wins the game, right? And so what is it like?
I can go and get a cup of coffee and ask Andrew, and he will explain it to me, and I can come back and tell you if we really want to know. This is literally his job.
But again, if his registration
is a slice of cake at the same time, is that what you're angling for here?
Is it just like any other domain name? Is his first come, first serve? I mean, they say register. They didn't say much of anything else.
That's true. So we're going to see like musicnow.new or music2.new.
Ant_Pruitt.new because somebody took Ant Pruitt.
Oh, man. Yeah. This totally is one of those things. Get in earlier.
Okay. Do you literally? I'm IMing with him right now. I can make him come up and answer literally all your questions.
Okay. Survey says.
I'm old
Well,
enough to remember
I have to see if
when we
he's
used
ready.
to talk about
All right,
namespace.
How about this? How about you work on that? I'm going to thank the sponsor. Then when we come back, we might have an update.
Such a
on
pro.
this.
Then I can get my cake and coffee.
And you can eat and drink them too.
Oh, and Andrew, right.
All right, let's take a break. Thank the sponsor, and then we will get back and check in with Andrew. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by Worldwide Technology. WWT began building their Advanced Technology Center 10 years ago, and it's grown exponentially ever since. It's like no other testing and research lab. The lab contains more than $500 million in equipment from hundreds of OEMs and key partners ranging from heavyweights like NetApp, Cisco, and VMware to emerging disruptors like Tanium, Equinix, and Expanse. WWT is a trusted partner who stays with you over the years. Many of their customers have been with them for over a decade because they know that WWT is where they can go to get the answers they need to make sure their business runs right. Their ATC is an incubator for IT innovation and offers on-demand and schedulable labs like NetApp Cloud Volumes on tap on Flash, NetApp Disaster Recovery as a Service, along with hundreds of other labs representing newest advances in flash storage, multi-cloud, hyperconverged infrastructure, cloud data management, and more. You can learn about products before you launch. WWT's engineers use these environments to quickly spin up proofs of concept and pilots using the sandbox so customers can confidently select the best solutions. In many cases, this reduces concept time from months to weeks, which increases speed to market. And they offer Lab as a Service, which is a dedicated lab space within the ATC. And this is where customers can perform programmatic testing using the vast technology ecosystem that WWT has already built. It's virtual, so you can take full advantage of ATC's unique benefits anywhere in the world 24/7. And WWT engineers work in these labs. They're working there every day, beta testing new equipment, building reference architectures and custom integrations to help their customers make decisions and see results faster and with much less investment. And the time is finally here. WWT has launched their new digital platform encompassing the ATC ecosystem. This ecosystem creates a multiplier effect of knowledge, speed, and agility anytime, anywhere around the world for their customers. So you can get access to articles, case studies, hands-on labs, and other tools that make the difference in today's fast-paced world. To learn more about WWT, the ATC, and sign up for access to their new on-demand lab platform, go to wwt.com/twit. WWT simplifies the complex. That's wwt.com/twit. WWT is delivering business and technology outcomes around the world, and we thank them for their support. Joining us, but not wearing a hat. Welcome to the show. Wait a minute, you're not Stacey.
I'm Andrew.
You would have gotten bonus points if you put on her wig.
Yeah. She startled me when she came out of the office wearing that. So isn't that lovely, though?
It's a fantastic wig. So, so Stacey brought you in because we were talking about, well, you probably already know this, but we were talking about the .new domains. And there's just a little bit of a curiosity around how this works. What can you tell us about what you know about .new domains?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So Google about a year ago decided to use this .new domain that they had acquired in a kind of a unique way, which was to have it do an action when you typed it in. So if you typed in doc.new, it would open a new Google Doc. It would start a new Google Doc. And so what they've done now is they're opening it up to other companies. They can do the same thing. They can register domains in .new as long as it's used for an action. So sell.new can start a new eBay listing. Playlist.new will start a new Spotify playlist. And so it's kind of a unique way of using a domain name. I don't think, obviously, there could be thousands of these eventually, but it's really something that's created for power users that do something over and over. And instead of opening up Google Drive, clicking the button to do new, and then doc, it's just something you can type into your browser, so it should be faster.
Do you envision this to be kind of like a gold rush sort of thing? As a lot of other kinds of things on the web end up being in the long run. This seems like an opportunity for some companies to get in there early with something like music.new, which, as we just saw a few minutes ago, is basically just a record label. It's like, yeah, okay, we got music.new. That seems like a pretty valuable get, but no one else will have it that easy.
Well, that's true, but what Google is doing here is they're saying within 100 days you have to do something with it that causes an action or a new workflow. So it's not like someone can just register and stockpile these. They have to do something with it, and they have to do something fairly specific with it.
That's how you regulate.
Yeah, that's important, right?
Nice.
That keeps some control over it. Okay.
And they didn't do that with .app, which is another one of Google's top-level domains when they launched that. You can use it pretty much any way you want. You can park it. You can use it for an app. You can use it however you want. And so there are hundreds of thousands of those registered, but that was a little bit like one of those things like, ooh, I should be the first to register music.app or game.app and that sort of thing. So .new is different. I believe, I haven't looked it up, but I believe they're charging hundreds of dollars as well for it. So that should keep some people from going after and trying to stockpile them. But it's very much a niche top-level domain. I like what they're doing. I mean, I don't think .new otherwise would be that interesting of a top-level domain. The only thing that's kind of confusing about it is it's a little bit backwards, right? So if I think about starting a new... I'm sorry?
She gets confused. To your wife it is. She gets getting confused, she said.
Yeah. So if she types in...
That's why we're married!
You see the world the same way. Stacey, you and I should register argue.new.
Jeff said that you and he should register argue.new.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
And I could see a world down the line where once .new is not the big thing, then it's like .open. To jump right. You know what I mean? How deep do you want this to go? Pick out any tool in your toolbar and make that an action as
Chat room was saying $550 for the domain.
$550. Yeah, that was Patrick Delahanty. He was saying $550. That's not inexpensive.
Quite a bit of money there.
You definitely want to use it if you pay that much for it.
Right. For sure. And you've got a time limit with which to do that. I find that really interesting, actually. So then in that regard, so music.new is an interesting example because literally when you go there, all you have there is a like an album cover generator. So maybe that is it. Maybe that's the service that they're providing is, hey, we took this album that's on our label and you can create your own version of it.
Generate your own cover.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would qualify.
So that would qualify. So actually pretty smart.
Okay. All right.
OVO Sound, 1. There you go. That's what it is.
My music is awesome.
Whoa, you just created an album art, and it was so easy to do.
Wow, that's all that did, and gave me a little PNG file.
1998.
There you go. Right on. Cool.
Right. Well,
thank you.
I'll hand it back over to Stacey.
Right on. Thank you, Andrew.
You.
Right. Really nice talking with you. Appreciate it.
You bet.
As ever.
How cool is that?
Very awesome.
Mr. Leo couldn't make that happen.
I know.
Kudos to you, Mr. Howell.
I did nothing. That was all Stacey.
What happened?
You got Andrew to come into the room and talk to us. That was awesome.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
He's my domain ringer. Whatever.
I should bring something up here now because as I was scrolling through the doc, I realized we didn't keep to our promises from last week. At least one of them. And Pruitt.
Oh shoot!
Up at the top of the dock.
I almost skated by.
Well, it might as well be time. I meant to do it at the beginning of the show and I forgot.
I tried to open it, but I didn't have permission.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you need permission. So these aren't working.
Oh, I thought I had it set.
Oh, isn't that convenient?
I thought I had it set.
Wait a minute.
Mr. Karsten has it, though.
So this is you as a model.
I have all the permissions.
So this is you as a model.
Wow.
That is
you in your modeling days.
That's when it first started right there at the school.
This is Pensivient.
Wow.
I told you it was one of those holes sitting there like this with my... I told you that was the first shot to come to my mind. But yeah, that was, about 20-something years ago and about 20 pounds lighter.
That shirt is too big on you.
Yes, it is.
What?
Very.
Why would they do that to you? Is that your actual thing you were modeling, or is that just a test shot?
No, that was just part of the test shot. So what have you?
Oh, okay.
And that was in my closet.
I mean, you look good, but that shirt is
yeah, it was definitely way too
big. It's a big shirt on you.
Definitely way too big.
Build into it.
But yeah, and then there's that one.
So they got rid of the shirt.
They're like, your shirt's too big. Take it off.
Those were the days.
Right on.
Wow. Those were the days. I tried to find my other one because I had to do a business attire shoot too,
Ooh.
and couldn't find that one. We looked last night, couldn't find it. But yeah.
Thank you for keeping your promise.
I kept my
Thank
promises.
you.
I'm off the hook for a week now.
There were other promises from last week. What were
Where
they?
are the wig?
She's got
Where
the
are the
wig.
wig?
Mhm.
I had none. I was going to share my colonoscopy report with you.
No,
No.
yeah, we denied
promised
that.
not to.
That's what it was. We denied that. That's what it was.
Squashed
He showed us his pictures with hair, looking like a serial killer
that's
slash
right.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Hey. Hey.
It's the 70s hair thing. You
Yeah.
know, you see the 70s glasses or the 70s hair.
yes,
You're
right.
like, oh, there's a serial killer.
Everybody looks like they could have been a serial killer in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's just
It was
it's
just
just the
that era.
decade. Yeah, totally. I can't remember if I had a promise. If anyone in the chat room remembers, let me know. Apparently, I forget my promises.
You were just sort of instigating it all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Phew.
Being a good host.
Dodged a bullet there. What else do we
So
have?
is Google successfully mapping your fire? They're keeping constant updated maps of the fires.
You know, I didn't know that they were doing this until I read this article, but Google is apparently integrating their mapping prowess with access to 2 U.S. satellites to hopefully provide more up-to-date coverage of where the fires are at, specifically the Kincade fire, which is not very far from us, but thankfully far enough.
Yeah, about 30 miles.
And they're integrating this in a way that they're updating every 5 to 20 minutes. So that's just faster.
That's awesome.
Than a lot of other systems, I guess. They're pulling from near infrared and visible spectrum images in order to do this. And yeah, they've got kind of like if you go onto Google and you do a search for Kincade fire, it pulls up a special kind of like results page that has a lot of information that you might need if you were in the area, like emergency information, emergency numbers, some of the latest news, and then it has this map that's kind of dialed into it that is really up to date as far as showing like road closures.
But you know not to go there.
Yeah. Looks like looks better than it did yesterday. I think yesterday there were that whole area was a road closure, and yeah, it was different. But yeah, very useful tool. Incredibly useful.
Kudos to them for, again, trying to help out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, Google's finally going to stop indexing and ranking anything Flash on the web, so that's good.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I watch MSNBC when I'm not at home through my machine, and because I sign into Verizon and do all that. It's just torture because it's Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Still
and
Flash?
Every time it will never let me say, okay, forever, just change this. It forgets my changes. I've got to go through like 4 steps of saying yes, I mean it really, honest to God, yes, please, and then reload and all this, and I finally get it. It's awful. I know you hate Flash, but some people.
Well, if Google does this, then hopefully people will switch from Flash, and that would be amazeballs.
Yeah. They're going to be ignoring Flash content. They're going to stop indexing standalone SWF files. Apple, of course, quit its relationship with Flash years and years ago. Google hung on and is still hanging on.
So many security flaws in it, right? Why would we still consider it being a usable mode of sharing content?
Well, and HTML5 is awesome.
Yeah.
By comparison.
Lightweight.
Yeah. So, yep, not everybody's moved over, I guess. So there's that.
Well, now you start hitting people in the wallet, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So we should talk about a thing on Facebook. And full disclosure, as I raise money for the school from Facebook, I'm independent of Facebook, received no money personally from Facebook or any of the platforms. Where they announced their news tab last week, and I went to 2 events last week. I went to Twitter's News Summit, which I can tell you about, And then I also went to Facebook's event announcing the News tab with Mark Zuckerberg and Robert Thompson, the CEO of News Corp. And Thompson has been highly, highly critical of the platforms, and we now know his price. Just give him some money, and he's all kind of slathering all over Zuckerberg. And so the News tab is there, and they're paying a bunch of publishers, not all, but they're paying a bunch of publishers a substantial amount of money, long-term contract, for a separate News tab. I don't have it yet. I don't think anybody does have it yet, major. The controversy, however, is this, and it's bothering me too. They included Breitbart. And there are issues there.
Okay, go on.
And so folks in my world were fairly scandalized that they considered that a news source next to the New York Times and the Washington Post and such.
Right, a trusted publisher.
Now, others will argue Zuckerberg was asked about it, and it's fairly standard perspective. We want multiple perspectives, and there is a problem in that we don't have enough conservative media in the country. We only have basically one outlet. And so when you go below that one, you end up pretty quickly at a Breitbart. So I don't know what you guys think of this, whether they should or should not have included Breitbart. Breitbart's done some pretty awful stuff. What do you guys think? That's my view. I mean,
Miss Stacey?
This falls under the truth is losing category.
What?
Put this into the truth is losing category.
This falls under the truth is losing category.
I mean, Breitbart is not what I would consider a legitimate news site. Sometimes they run actual news stories. Sometimes, I mean, they definitely have a point of view and aren't shy about expressing it. But some of their, and this is an issue. Like, can you be a news site if you also run things that are not news, right? And that's what I feel like they can. Okay. So opinion versus things that people have imagined happened but haven't actually happened are
that's different. The other question. Yeah.
I'm like, there are things
imaginary
on
news.
Yeah. So, yeah, I say no, and I don't like it because I would like there to be like true. And I mean, the way this is conservative. Like, if you're a conservative, basically your choices are, the Wall Street Journal, is the National Review still out there? I don't know. Or white nationalists, and that really sucks if you're a conservative because there are other shades of gray in there. And I don't think everybody's a white nationalist who is, fiscally conservative. I could be wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we certainly, if the perspective is out there, we've got to serve it. What do we expect if we serve that half of America only? That kind of stuff. And I argued strenuously, and I'm as liberal as they come. We've got to invest in conservative media. And so I'm sympathetic to that part, is if you want to have any appearance of balance, you can't say, here's 200 sites on this side, let's have 200 sites on that side, when 5 sites in, you end up in InfoWars. There's an asymmetry here, which is hard to deal with. But this goes back to the discussion about the political ads too, is they're unwilling to make any judgment, and they've got to start making judgments.
And I think the conservative movement overall it's actually where the Democrats were probably 8 years ago, which was kind of bankrupt in terms of having actual policy ideas. Like there wasn't a lot of movement behind any big policies, whereas right now, if you talk to Democrats, there's a lot around, equal pay. There's a lot about environmental action. There's lots about, paying off student debt, healthcare. All of these things have become true policies that you can debate and have a reasoned argument over. Whereas the Conservative Party is right now not putting up anything beyond lowering taxes. And again, I'll go with white nationalism. And that's tough. I mean,
Yep.
That's alienating for anybody who doesn't want to be thought of as a jerk, which is a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't like that Breitbart is part of this. I think Breitbart has done enough to show where they stand in this whole dialogue. And I don't, when Facebook calls these publishers trusted publishers, I think that in and of itself feels feels incorrectly applied to me because I don't consider Breitbart a trusted publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe they just trust it in the sense that it's going to deliver a certain type of opinion.
Okay.
It's not trusted like you would leave it at home with your children, but maybe it's trusted that it's consistent. Right.
I mean,
maybe I'm indifferent on it all, but first and foremost, I just don't see the use of a news tab inside of Facebook. I get, as a business, it's a good idea for them to come up with this additional platform, but I just stay away from all of it and all of this Breitbart stuff. And now I'm seeing hashtags about Photoshopped and things of that nature. None of this makes me want to consume more news. So half the time, I guess you could say I'm not woke or informed because I stay away from the news. But it's definitely helped my mental health compared to other people that are so entrenched in all of this stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I'm not sure it's a business decision so much as it is a PR decision.
Okay.
Right.
Well, and
the amount of money they're paying to, like, reportedly $3 million a year with the Wall Street Journal, they're not going to make that back.
You don't think
the traffic
so?
they get to this. No, Zuck kind of referred to that. He said, well, maybe in some years we could get to 10% or maybe even 20% of the Facebook audience could be looking at news this way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not terribly ambitious.
Okay. Yeah. That does sound more like PR.
Yeah. Well, and by PR, I mean kind of policy, call it that. One person at Facebook said to me some time ago, I can't control your uncle in the news feed, but I can, create a space to a controlled space for news where the environment is good. And they know not everybody's going to go to it. They say that out loud, but there's a place for news there that wasn't going to be divisive, but the Breitbart's there. So who knows?
Yeah.
What's not divisive these days?
And so this is going to roll out sometime in the coming weeks. It's supposed to hit any time. Is that right?
They're dog fooding with, I think, a very small number of people now, and so it's going to be a rollout. Yeah, I think it's going to be a long rollout.
Right.
In U.S. only.
Dog fooding, or are they dog whistling?
Ooh.
I am just not. Yeah, just ignore me.
Another thing that's dog fooding, maybe, or at least beta testing, is Netflix testing variable playback of video content.
Right. That's just the right thing for me. I really like that idea. Yeah. I can't wait to be watching Netflix that way. I hope I watch all my shows that way. That'll be very great. I listen to podcasts, listen to books that way, and listening to me really fast is an unusual experience, huh?
He sounded like that 2 weeks ago, right?
I think when Jeff gets excited, that's what happens.
What I love about that is there are people who listen to this show sped up, so that part, they couldn't understand a single word you just said.
I was asking in the chat. I wonder how many people do listen to the show sped up. I would love to have those stats.
I think a lot of people
huge
do.
Number.
I think a lot of people do. Yeah. And they might not speed it up 1.5 because, have you tried to do that? At least for me, it's really hard for me to keep up at 1.5. But I can do 1.2.
Yeah, I normally, if anything, 1.2. Yeah, that's about as much.
I edit my shows sometimes at 1.5. Because I tend to speak slower because I'm thinking, and sometimes
Are you
I have
insinuating something there?
No, I'm a slow talker.
Stand down.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a slow talker.
Here's your gloves, Mr. Jarvis.
But is there a difference between listening to a podcast that's sped up and watching a movie that's sped up? I would agree.
Because it's visual and also.
Yeah, I wonder what are you doing to the art itself?
Yeah, podcasts. Do we think of ourselves as art?
I don't know that I consider it art.
Oh, of course we do.
Some components of it could be considered art.
No, our whole audience know I'm full of crap, so I'm not going to try.
Yeah,
you can adjust the timbre of the voice. So that the first time you go to high speed on voice, it sounds a little weird, but then you get really used to it.
You get used to it,
right?
Yeah. I do the same with audiobooks.
But with visuals, I don't know. It'll look. Can they adjust it so it still feels to the eyes if it's normal?
No, I don't.
Yeah, and directors make these conscious decisions about the frame rates they're going to use and things like that. That's part of what they're doing. And basically, what this is like, you must consume content faster because we're making so much damn content.
Right, well, it's true. I can't keep up with the content that they're making. It's just too much, but I don't watch a whole lot either. So.
But I saw that. I tweeted when I was a TV critic, because as we know on the show, I used to be a TV critic, former TV guide critic and people. I did that in the days, my children, of really long miniseries. The miniseries AD was torture, but I believed that I should not fast forward past things.
Mm-hmm. If you're a critic,
why
would you if you're a critic?
The whole effing thing.
600 minutes.
I would hit 600. Is that what it was?
That's what Wikipedia says. 600 minutes running time.
Divided by 6, that's 10 hours. Oh, heavy. So
it's like a season.
Oh, it felt like 24.
Ooh.
It was and I would hit a week where I would get 4 miniseries. And I have to watch them. So I would have loved to have had this then.
Well,
loved it.
Netflix pointed out that, not too long ago, we were all consuming on DVD, and a lot of DVD players had the ability to have variable speed playback.
Mm-hmm.
But who used that?
Well, that's true. Who used it? But you could. And so their argument is, well, you could then, so now you can now.
Now you can now. Why not?
I mean, yes, they're not forcing it upon people, so I get it. But I will also say that anything that makes directors less satisfied, and sometimes it's boring for you and you're like, God, this is slow, but then there's a payoff. Like if you watch Boyhood, for example, I'm going to be honest, I watched it and I was like pacing and like, oh my God, stop, make something happen. But afterwards I was like, oh, that was actually well worth my time. I don't know.
I need to see that. I haven't seen it yet.
It's leaving Netflix tomorrow or the day after that or something.
Well,
so get on it.
He's going to miss that one, folks.
Sorry, can't trick or treat tonight. I'm watching Boyhood.
That's how I prioritize all my things. I'm like, what is leaving Netflix? Okay, I'll finally watch
that. I know we haven't done the change log. Is there anything before the change log? Because we could do the change log and then do some tips. Anything that you guys want to get in there?
Male political reporters retweet other dudes 3 times more than their female colleagues, but that's no surprise.
Okay.
Dudes retweet dudes.
Yeah.
No, I think, we could be doing Hellvetica for Halloween.
Hellvetica's evil twin, Hellvetica, as the article on Fast Company says, will haunt your nightmares. Ooh.
Oh!
Is it badly kerned?
Yes. I was like, what did they do? And then I'm like, oh, that is terrible kerning.
What they did, I hope you all know what kerning is. It's the space between letters. And sometimes you can kern, an F over an E to make it look good. They went to awful kerning, just grading kerning. Yeah. However, hilarious. I was just writing about something. Did you know, I didn't really fully realize this. I just read a book called Space Between Words. I don't think I've talked about this on the show before. That from the 1st century AD till the 7th to 12th century AD, there was no space between words.
Oh, wow.
What? Scribes didn't use spaces between words. They didn't use punctuation. They didn't use capitalization. It was just a continuum, which sounds insane. Scriptura continua. Sounds completely insane, but it was meant to record and prompt recitation and memorization. And as the author of the book, Paul Sanger, says, when children learn to write, they tend to write continuously.
They do.
They're recording continuous sound, right? When I listen to someone, before I started taking Spanish lessons, to no good end because I'm so stupid, but I would listen to someone speaking Spanish and it sounded like one complete sound without break or breath, right? Because I couldn't recognize the words in it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting.
And that's actually my daughter, that explains my daughter, when she learned to write, she actually learned cursive first. And the reason behind it was that exact same reasoning. So
that's brilliant.
Well, it was kind of painful, but
brilliant.
I don't know, brilliant. But it did. And that was their logic. So, Jeff, I'll back you up on this. I'm not going to argue with you.
Factoid of the day.
I've not seen that since roughly 1996 or so with Outkast and their Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music track. And they wrote it all out in one word. Outkast. Really? Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music by Outkast. It's a song.
Yes.
One word.
It's like German.
Yes, it kind of is. All right, that's fascinating. But it's so true. Like, the kids, when they first start writing,
right,
it all blends together. And then that that should be at the end of the sentence is on the next line.
On the next line,
continue
That's how it sounds.
Yeah.
So when they started putting spaces back in, it was inspired by Arabic and Hebrew. That's a good idea. Let's put spaces there. Also, the problem was words were written without vowels. And that's when they had to have spaces because you had to figure out what the word was. You had to add your own vowels. When vowels got added into writing, the spaces became superfluous in the sounds. So that's when it became all crammed together. And then they moved it back apart again, which meant that people started being able to read themselves because it wasn't so hard. They were able to read a lot faster because you recognized the shapes of the word. And then that created a demand for more things to read, and that led to authorship, and that led to Gutenberg. You knew I'd end up there.
Of course.
Wow. So moving from an oral to a written culture, you just took us all the way through. Thanks, Joe.
Yes,
6 degrees of Gutenberg.
One thing more for you, Stacey, is breakthrough in fast charging for electric cars. I thought this was potentially a very big deal. Being able to get 200 miles in 10 minutes by heating up your battery.
Oh.
Well, it would heat up your battery if you just
I think that's
all
that.
Wow. But is the idea that you would warm up the battery and it would accept the power
this was
more easily?
some research that was done.
Bring me the link.
It's one of these pages that has video on top for no reason.
Oh. Yeah. It doesn't
Money,
really
Jeff.
play
That's the
anything
reason.
either.
Yeah. I know the head of this company. Yeah. They developed a lithium-ion battery capable of adding 200 to 300 miles in 10 minutes.
Wow.
By elevating the temperature.
Okay.
Without
so you
affecting
got to get up
lifespan?
there super fast and then bring it down. Oh, I like it.
Oh,
that'd be very cool.
Battery only lasts 3 months.
So they actually say that it extends the life of the battery too.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, it's not to love.
No, that
It's
is
a win-win.
Believe it when I see it.
There's only when I'm driving the Tesla, like not cross country, but long distances, it is kind of like the first stop. You're like, yeah, I'll get something to eat. I'll get lunch, and
right.
You charge all the way up. And then like 2 hours later, you're like, I'm still kind of full from the last charge up. What am I going to do for 30 minutes here?
Right. Do you plan your motel by the ones that have charging?
Sometimes I don't do a lot of super road trips. So like for me, I plan my hiking, so I go up near a place where there's 2 superchargers on the Olympic Peninsula, so I can't go any further. Without
did you drive the Tesla from Austin to Seattle?
Oh no, we went with the Russian mafia, which is all car transport is handled by the Russian mafia. So we used one of them.
Got it. All right, that's my list. That's where I want to go.
Awesome.
I like it.
Love it.
You can now warn Karsten.
All right. Let's hear some horns.
Yes. The Google changelog.
Some things changed. There weren't a whole lot of changes this week. I had to scramble a little bit to find a few extras, so we actually had a decent amount to read here. Google Homes and Minis have been breaking, apparently, due to a firmware update gone awry. Particularly, this has been happening since September, but Google told 9 to 5 Google that it plans to replace affected devices because they can't figure out what was going on.
Are you alive? Oh, no.
Apple did an update to bring the HomePods this week, too. So, Google's not alone.
Okay. It's hard to keep these things alive. I think I may have mentioned it on last episode or not, but I think it's worth repeating because I think it was probably a passing comment that they're also putting out an update for Google Home so that you can do independent stereo. So
right. You did mention
you can
that.
have 2 of them, and I just think that's neat. I like that they're doing that.
Home filling
so
sound.
How many years did it take to go back to stereo?
Yes, exactly. Here we are again.
I had that in the 70s, for God's sake.
Totally. Yet here we go again. There's a new Google Home app update that's rolling out to Android right now, to iOS in the coming days. It has a new, simpler, cleaner design, and they've redesigned.
Do you like this?
Kind of the approach of it.
Good?
Have you seen it yet?
I do.
Stacey?
No, Kevin and I talked about it on our show, and I tried to download it to see if I had it yet, but neither of us do. But I like the way it looks. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I don't have it either. Two main tabs, home and media. Home, of course, for controlling the devices in your home, much the same as has already been done in the app. Media highlights any apps for media that are in use with controls and for playback, artwork, that sort of stuff embedded in there, so it's easy to find. And then apparently there's a new feed tab that acts as a home recap with things like highlights, important events, notifications, security alerts, audio and video clips. I don't know if that's like clips from your devices or what it is, but priority events, that sort of stuff. Yeah, what would that be?
Well, because if you go in the Google Home app, right, you can see like your last utterances and things like that. So I'm like, is that going to be kind of like that, or is it going to be something totally different? Right. And then I still have to go to the Google Home app because I thought we were stepping away from all that. I don't know what Google's doing.
Or maybe if someone rang your doorbell and there was video for it, maybe it shows like, oh, that's who I missed. Steve came by.
You're like, which app should I go with? The doorbell app? Should I go with this app?
You got options. At least there's that. And confusion. TensorBoard.dev preview launch was announced today. I wish I understood this more than I do, but I'll just say that you can host and track machine learning experiments and share them publicly with no setup required. So that's got to be good, right?
We'll hear more about this at I.O. next year.
Yeah, probably so. And it's supposedly support for Google Cloud. That's all I really understood from that announcement. A little bit more.
Stacey, do you have more for us?
Yeah, just
right. I don't know this announcement, but is it just it's giving you access to run your own machine learning algorithms and problems on a TensorFlow cloud instance? Yes, maybe
that sounds really like perfect. Maybe. Yeah, I think it's a firm
we're all
maybe.
Like maybe.
It's a firm maybe.
I didn't read this one.
I went back and forth on whether to include this one because I was like, God, I really don't understand this.
You'll now be able to host and track your ML experiments and share them publicly. No setup required.
Yeah. So you know how we were talking about IBM letting people play around with their quantum thing when we showed that last week?
Right.
This might just be the same thing for I'm looking. Yeah. So it's the same thing. It's basically TensorFlow available for you to play with without having to know how to run with TensorFlow. So yes, and it does it's like a PaaS, a platform as a service. So you don't have to worry about setting up your underlying infrastructure. You just give it. I don't know if you give it your data. I'm like, I don't understand where. I think you give it your data, and then you can run your algorithms against it. But I'm not 100% sure there.
Okay.
But yes.
Did
that help?
That's helpful. I actually understand it a little bit more now. I should have had you read that one.
Clearly, she knows.
I didn't see this one on there. So otherwise, I would have read it automatically because I'm like, ooh, machine learning.
Oh, I should throw this. This is not in the doc, but I'm happy about this. ScooterX posted in the chat. SiriusXM coming to Google Assistant finally.
SiriusXM still exists.
It still exists. Yeah.
Dude, Kevin is thrilled. What do you mean? Now he can get rid of his echoes because he can listen to his Beatles channel.
Wow. I listen to Howard Stern.
Of course you do.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
I've got
there was another satellite service. It was Sirius and it was something else. Maybe I'm thinking of that.
It was Sirius and it was XM.
Because what happened was that there was one inventor, and then they decided that was kind of automatic antitrust because you couldn't have one company. So they insisted on splitting up the companies.
Okay.
But neither was sufficient to be a business, and it also meant the technology wasn't as good. But by then the satellites were up above, and they couldn't do anything about it. But anyway, so then they merged and got bought. And so the technology is not what it could be if they were together, but the two companies are together.
Got it.
Yeah. So I'm happy about that. Anytime I've wanted to play it, I've had to Bluetooth in, and it's not the end of the world, but this is a little bit easier. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, YouTube Music, love it or not, now has a progressive web app. A Windows desktop or Mac OS dock icon will take you directly to the web app. It's identical to the website, but allows you to use keyboard shortcuts to play, pause, skip. Also, YouTube Music rolled out a Android widget last week.
Yay.
So, I mean, this is just like the further development of YouTube Music as Google marches towards that being their primary music service. And
I don't have a problem with them bringing this and promoting it a little bit more because they're going to kill off Google Play Music. I just wish they'd make it a better experience, because the 5 minutes I jumped into that app, it was painful to try to, navigate through YouTube Music and find some tracks, and had to discuss it with the family and let them know, hey, we're probably going to lose Google Music, so let's go ahead and take a look at YouTube Music. And we all yelled out pretty much at the same time. It was like, what is this? And I understand there's times you're going to have to get used to an interface, but I don't know, man. That's a stretch. With that,
still not used to going back to Gmail. I know what you mean.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. I'm right there with you. Still not comfortable.
Right. Because you were in Inbox.
Yes.
Yeah. You bet.
And I miss it every day.
I got hypnotized.
Yeah, I miss it every day. And they said the same thing there too. Oh, we're going to bring all the big features from Inbox. They still haven't brought the best features from Inbox. I'm with every passing day, I'm less and less confident that they will.
Yeah.
We'll see. If you go into your Photos app and search Halloween, you'll see a rolling pumpkin. That's it.
Outstanding change.
That's so exciting.
Isn't that amazing?
I can barely take it.
I would like little AR
excited.
Ghosts next to me in all of my pictures.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Wait a minute, didn't they do that years back, where they replaced people in your photo with zombie people?
Yeah,
that was cool.
They added them behind you.
Oh, I thought they replaced
maybe they did.
the
I can't remember.
characters and.
They turned my dead grandma into a zombie.
I remember them zombifying your face.
Zombifying.
That I remember. They because I want to
somewhere
say
back about episode
one of your avatars was
237.
that for a long time.
Yeah, that's true, Ant.
Or that was just Jason on a bad day.
Yes,
It was a
Twit
Google
fan for a long
Photos thing, if I remember correctly.
Karsten wishes he could do it to us, or especially me, but
yeah, that's
the
right.
rest of us are in the Halloween spirit, Jeff, but you
Here we go.
just
I think it was zombified.
Before the photo link, there we go. I found a story related to it, a Droid Life photo, where it would take the photo and it would kind of make whoever happened to be in it a zombie. It was a Google Plus feature. It was not a.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, Google Plus.
And everybody on Google Plus is sharing their zombie photos.
Now everybody's still there. Looks like that. Yeah.
Yes. And that is the Google changelog. All right. Now we've reached the picks section. So, Stacey, why don't you go first? What you got?
Yay! Okay. I know it's Halloween, you guys, but let's start thinking about holiday lights.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
Nope,
come on.
we're doing it. So these are my new favorite toy. These are the Twinkly smart lights. It's not dark here yet, so I can't really show you, but I can take you downstairs and show you. So what these are these
You already have
LEDs.
the Christmas tree up with the lights?
No, I strung them on. I outlined my window and then took the excess and shoved it into a pumpkin, so it looks like Halloween.
There's the scary new lady in the neighborhood. Yeah.
That's me. And mine are the Halloween setting. And that is orange and purple. So the range of colors on these is good. What it does is you can download these patterns. They were just showing you a couple of them. So when you put it around your tree, it can you can do patterns that come up and down the tree. They can go to the side. It's all fancy. But it also gives you a mapping feature in your phone, so you can map out to build your own designs and have the lights work the way you want.
Oh, neat.
So, yeah, it's super neat, but they're super expensive.
Of course they are.
But the string I have is, what is it? 225 RGB LEDs.
Oh,
And no, the cost of it, hold on, I haven't said the cost yet. It was $168 something.
Still yeah. Still yeah.
Wow.
But look, you can do a smiley face on your tree. Okay. I know, I'm inordinately excited. So they do really well in the tree because the strings, I've got my strings chasing each other in a Halloween pattern, which is fine. But I'm going to leave them up all year round because I can do UT orange, which kind of looks like Clemson orange, but we're going to call it UT orange.
No, it's not like Clemson orange. I know there's a difference.
Oh yeah, well I know that, but theirs is actually closer to Clemson orange.
Oh, it is? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to just say it's UT orange for me.
Gotcha.
But yes, it's so fun. They're kind of like, they're the level of utility and probably expense that the nano leaf lights that I like so much are. So, do with that what you will. But I'm having a grand old time, and I'm very happy that I've purchased them.
Nice.
Questions? Comments?
So, I have one question. So if you have a big tree or a little tree, it looks like you can do patterns on the tree, like the smiley face, but don't they have to be kind of aware of where they are?
That's the mapping. So you hold up your smartphone and you use that to map the location of the lights. And then they're like, then you design the pattern.
Now I get it. Oh, that's fascinating.
Because I haven't put them on a tree yet, I haven't experienced that feature in like 3D. I've only experienced it on a string.
I see Stacey sneaking into a park somewhere and cutting down a tree since you can't buy one now, just so she can do this.
I live in Washington. There's like a tree in my front yard.
There's plenty of trees in Washington.
Yeah. I was like, I'm looking at like 6 Christmas trees right now. They're just alive and in my front yard.
That's cool. But dang, that's expensive.
You can buy different lights. So I just saw that they have a wall setting. So you could oh my gosh. Okay, I'm done.
I love
And you group them. That was the point.
Setting?
You can group them. So you can buy basically a wall of lights if you want it to hang down your house. And you can tie them into your other lights using a grouping scene in the app. And many of these lights, these are Wi-Fi enabled. I have had smart lights actually previously that were Bluetooth enabled, and they sucked because you had to get close to them to be in Bluetooth range to control them. So if they were too far out on your lawn,
of course,
you would be like, I need to go out to my lawn and it's cold. So I know my life is hard.
Those are called the Twinkly lights. Twinkly.
So these are the Twinklies. So I'm really excited by them, hopefully. And they seem sturdy. They are indoor and outdoor. And I don't know. What else do you want to know? I don't know what else I need to tell them.
They are neat, but my goodness, that's expensive for LED lights.
Yeah, for that tree right there, how many strings did you need?
So this 225 strands, so the $170 I spent, that was going to get me a 6-foot tree, theoretically.
Okay,
that's
fair
what
enough.
they say.
Okay.
I, however, feel that
it's still expensive.
There's never too many lights on the tree, so I don't really know.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because how densely is it filled with a single one? I imagine you could get it around the tree, but it's still going to be pretty sparse. You're going to want to put a couple of those on there to really get.
I feel like we should bring Andrew back so we can warn him.
Yeah.
Well, so this is 73.8 feet is the 225 light strand.
Okay.
And they're LEDs, so they are actually super bright.
Yeah.
They do some colors better.
You want
than
enough density for the pattern,
right?
Yeah, you do. Well, I think this will give you enough density for the pattern.
I mean, you're going to have a tree with pixel density, Stacey.
It does work on shapes that aren't a Christmas tree, although I have not, because of the mapping, it theoretically works on shapes that are not a Christmas tree, our robot. But I do not know, because I don't know how easy or hard it would be to map another shape, because I've only mapped it on a string. I don't know what other shape you would. I have mine in a window right now.
Yeah.
So
cool. Twinkly.com.
Super fun.
Very fun and very expensive. Jeff, what's your number?
Well, I have a few, but I'll be quick. One is we have to pay attention to this. The internet has as many birthdays as it has parents. But 50 years ago, I believe yesterday, the first message was sent on what became the internet. And so we should say, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, internet.
Yep.
HBD.
October 29th. And then number 2, so I was at this event called the Twitter News Summit, where I was on a panel about disinformation, and Jack was there, being interviewed by BuzzFeed editor Ben Smith. One little number that came out of it was that Jack said that he sets his phone to limit his Twitter to 2 hours a day.
Good for him.
However, what I really wanted to talk about, this is going to get very nerdy, but I'll make it very fast, is a paper, an academic paper, about the precautionary principle. That is to say, something bad could happen, ergo we've got to stop it and do it. So they did a specific study of the Fukushima nuclear accident. And right after that, because everybody freaked out for reasons, and they said, we're going to get rid of nuclear energy right off the bat overnight. Boom, we're out of here. And So all nuclear power stations ceased operation, and the power was replaced by fossil fuels, which caused an exogenous increase in electricity prices, going up as much as 38% on the average. The increase led to a reduction in energy consumption, which caused an increase in mortality during cold temperatures. And so, in the end, that caused more deaths than Fukushima. So it is the law of unintended consequences. And when you operate on the precautionary principle, we have to be cautious about this and think of what bad could happen. You could end up causing something worse.
Oh my gosh, that's like my total argument for thinking about and limiting things like facial recognition, Jeff.
That's my argument for not doing that, because maybe you don't know how many young children couldn't be found by the police, and how many criminals could kill more people because they couldn't be found by the police. And only through time are you going to know. So this is my
really
argument
hard to map
against
things
moral
that don't
panic.
happen, though.
Well, it's hard to regulate thinking that you've saved things by not happening. But we're not going to get into this now because it's the end of the show and people are hungry. But
that is true.
Yes, I'm going to call on this again. If you get mad at me for saying moral panic and techno panic, I'm going to say precautionary principle.
And I'm going to look at you like this.
What?
Yeah, I know. Argue not to.
It's going to take a while of you saying that for us to automatically go, oh, yeah. It's going to take a little while. Thank you, Jeff. Ant, what you got?
I have two things. I hope you all don't mind, but I'll be quick. First and foremost, I know that we've been talking about is Halloween coming up tomorrow and all of that. And we got our awesome hats on and looking good. At least some of us are looking good. But October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So be sure to check out the National Breast Cancer .org website. And if you feel the need to donate, send $1 or $2 to help out with the research. Breast cancer is deep in the family here. Not on my side, but on Queen Pruitt's side. It's run pretty deep and has affected a lot of people there. So we take that quite dear to our hearts. I've been wearing this band for many years now, out of respect for them and them dealing with it and fighting through it. So that's out of the way. If you can donate $1, please go do so now. Please and thank you. Next up is Nothing But the Arts. Last year, North Carolina Central University, historically black college and university, they're near Winston-Salem, North Carolina, I believe. They invited me out to sit down and talk with a group of students about being a content creator. They invited me and a couple other people, and they started this little organization to help encourage the students there to get into the arts, whether it's photography, video, acting, writing, so on and so forth. And it went pretty well. And it was nice to see these kids just get inspired and go out and start creating content and start collaborating with other artists and just trying to, build a community there at the school. So this is their second year, and they're having their event today, I believe, or maybe it's tomorrow, but they're having their second annual event. Of course, I'm not going to be there because I'm on the other side of the country, but I wanted to show them some love and just give them a shout out because they're trying to grow this, and their website is still a little bit of a work in progress right now, but they're trying. These are little college kids, and they're trying really hard, and it was great to see the interest that these kids had in the arts, especially in the Black community. So that's my two things.
Right on. Excellent 2 picks. I thought that website
Okay,
looked
Ant,
great.
I just donated.
Thank you, Mr. Jarvis.
Thank you, Jeff. And thank you, Ant. My pick or my tool, whatever you want to call it, it's more like a trick.
Oh,
I
boy.
would say. Google Messages. So we were talking a little bit earlier about the carriers, implementing their own RCS and how Google's version of RCS in the US has Go away, Google. I fire off this thing all the time, and I don't mean to. Anyways, in the U.S., there isn't a whole lot of support, outward support from the carriers, or in fact, none, I believe. But 9 to 5 Google posted a walkthrough on how you can actually activate RCS on your Android Messages app for these carriers, whether they are whether they allow for it or not. And it's it's like a 10-step process. It does not take very long. It's like a 2-minute process. You have to download this app off the Play Store and run it and jump into, and then like delete the storage in the app info on Android Messages. You basically have to jump through just a couple of small hoops in order to do it. But at some point, like before you do this, if you try and go into the chat settings in Android Messages, it won't even let you go in there because it's unsupported. Right. And after you do this, you're allowed to go in there. It says that its setup is complete and it's all working. So then it's just a matter of connecting with someone else that is also, using RCS.
It was really easy. I know some people that have done it that are not technically savvy or what have you. They watched the video from XDA. Is it the same video that 9 to 5 Google is sharing? Because the one that I saw was from XDA.
Okay. I'm not surprised that they would have this as well. Yeah.
And it was so straightforward, and it didn't take any time, like you said. And these non-tech savvy people that I know, they did it with ease. Yep. So, yeah, anybody can do it if you're interested in that.
Yeah. So if you want a little flavor of RCS, and like I said, then the challenge is actually messaging with someone who also has RCS, because otherwise you're not going to see any differences. But then once you do that, you're going to see all
notice the little
the higher res image sharing between people, and like a typing indicator. If you're typing, the other person will see like the little ... to say that you're actively
show that you're typing.
Things like that. So cool little walkthrough, very easy to do, and you can kind of get on the RCS chat train right now, even though maybe you're not supposed to.
Maybe not.
And maybe Google will like undo this at some point, the capability. But for right now, you can do it, and it's neat that you can. So there you go. And with that, we've reached the end of this episode of This Week in Google Hats and Wigs edition. This is a lot of fun. We'll start with you, Jeff. Anything you want people to know? Where are you?
The Fizz is back.
All right. At least you're wearing your hat again.
Getting in the spirit.
Yeah, this is the shot we need to promote the show.
You need to turn it around, though, sir.
So I got 2 people this week on Facebook said, I'm having a meeting. What kind of icebreakers do you like? And I told them both, I'm the grumpy guy who sits in the corner and bonds with everybody else who's growling about friggin' icebreakers.
Jeff Jarvis, the Scowlmeister. Buzzmachine.com. See, I think that hat looks good on you.
It does.
You need to wear it more often. There you go. Just needed to be complimented. And Stacey Higginbotham.
Yes, it's so easy to do that.
Stacey, thank you so much, and thank you for being Wigginbotham today. Really appreciate it. Stacey on IoT.com, of course. It's a lot of fun. And then, of course, you, sir. You brought style to this show today, and I appreciate it.
I try.
Thing is, I don't think you do try. I think you just do.
No, trust me.
It just comes naturally.
It's definitely an effort. I usually look like Hank Hill or something most of the time, just t-shirt and jeans.
Well, it works for you,
especially
today.
when I say "dadgum."
Yes,
the dadgum does. Yeah.
I'm waiting for that to start proliferating around here for others to start saying it too, because I can tell you no one said it before you got here.
Oh man!
And I've caught myself a couple of times wanting to say it.
Man.
I'm like,
oh man, I'm leaving my mark
there. Yes.
do you say dadgum, not dagnabbit?
Don't say dagnabbit. Okay. Dagnum. Okay. That's it.
Dagnum?
Dadgum, sorry. Dadgum. That's
okay,
it.
Yeah.
New show recorded today?
Yes. We have focus on photography.
Yep.
Actually, what was recorded today was recorded in the future. We will be recording again tomorrow, October 31st at 9 a.m. for Focus on Photography. Me and my co-host, Mr. Michael Woolsey, also known as Wools. He's a great photographer here in the area, and we're going to talk a little bit about some, photography related news and just chit chat and have a good time on the mics.
Right on. Awesome stuff that you're doing there. Thank you, man.
Thank you, sir.
And, I'm just going to be doing other shows on the network while Leo is out. I'll
Swiss
be here.
Army Knife Howell.
That's one nickname. Hey, that's my Halloween costume. That would be a cool Halloween costume. Tech News Weekly tomorrow. I'll be back here next week for This Week in Google as well, and I'm always happy to have the opportunity to do it. So thanks for having me, everybody. You can go to twit.tv/twig, twit.tv/TWIG to find This Week in Google's show page online. That's where you're going to find everything that you need to know about this show in order to subscribe. All of your subscribe links are there. Audio, video, you can play in the web browser if that's your thing, or you can just subscribe like good podcast netizens that you are.
Yes.
And that way you don't even have to think about it. They're
Please
delivered
and
to
thank
you
you.
like magic. And we record live every Wednesday starting 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 2000 UTC. Also, big thanks to Karsten producing this show behind the ones and the twos. Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Appreciate all your work each and every
Thank you,
week.
Karsten.
All right.
Thanks, Karsten.
You're welcome.
Happy Halloween. Good luck with the haunted house.
What's Karsten going as?
Yep, that's the big
How's it
day.
going?
The haunted house went really, really well. We had, in fact, a Twit listener came up from San Leandro.
Outstanding.
Nice.
So the haunted house happened. It's not happening on
happened.
Halloween.
The haunted house happened.
Okay.
And then Halloween will happen.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Good. It's good that you get Halloween off. They aren't working on Halloween. Anyways, that's it for this week. We'll see you next week on This Week in Google. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.